One in Arlington to face the Rangers with the call. We've got Joe Buck, Harold Reynolds, and Tom Verducci.
Boy, you're right, Kevin. The Angels could not be any hotter right now. They are as close to first place as they've been since the 10th of June. And this matchup for you in the AL West on Baseball Night in America, the Texas Rangers and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. That's Tom Verducci. Kevin laid it out. I mean, you can't be playing any better baseball than the Angels are. And right now, they're as good as anybody in the game.
Well, I know this, Joe. They're the hottest team in baseball over the last 5 weeks, scoring more than 6 runs a game. This is the blueprint we all expected. Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, and Josh Hamilton healthy and on fire at the same time.
There are 4 All-Stars represented here tonight. And for more on that, let's go down to the dugout and just outside it and check in with Harold Reynolds.
All right, thanks, Joe. Yes, I'm standing here with Mr. Mike Trout. Mike, you know, the club is playing great ball. 24-9 since June 6th, best record in all of baseball. What's been the difference? How you guys been able to turn this thing around?
You know, we're pitching great right now, and, you know, when we get runners on base, runners on second and third, we're driving them in. And 1 through 9, we're having great at-bats through the whole game. And, you know, like I keep telling people, you don't know who's going to step up that night. And it's fun right now in the clubhouse, for sure.
All right, we're a couple days away as we get ready to head to Minneapolis for the All-Star game. Your second time you've been voted in. You're excited? What comes to your mind when you think about, man, I've been voted in twice now to start?
I'm pumped. You know, it's all for the fans. You know, I love being a part of that experience, and I have a great time every time I go.
All right, Simon says get a knock tonight, okay?
I'm going to try to get a knock for sure.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Hey, Kenny, over to you.
Thanks, Harold. Adrian, 4th All-Star game. What are you looking forward to most in this one?
Probably spending more time with my kid, and it might be my last one. You know, but I think everyone is really special, and I just think to see the guys and compete with the guys that I admire, guys that I enjoy playing against them, and at least for that day, I'm gonna be the teammates.
Adrian, there's been a lot of talk about you lately as a potential Hall of Famer. What do you think about that?
Nothing. I think it's too early. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think about it. Maybe when I retire, who knows when is that going to be, but you know, it's not in my mind right now. I do the best I can to produce every day. I'm going to help my ball club win ball games, and when my time comes, when I go home, we'll see what happens.
Adrian, thanks a lot. Joe, back to you.
All right, Kenny. Well, he'll be there on Tuesday night in Minneapolis. So will this guy, Mike Trout. There's nobody better in the game than number 27. It's the Angels. It's the Rangers. It's a battle in the AL West. Coming up next on Fox. As you look at the temperature, it's 97 degrees. It's humid. It's hot. And here comes Miles Mikolas, who is the starter for the Texas Rangers. He gets the ball trying to slow down the red-hot Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, winners of 17 of their last 21. And only 2.5 games out behind Oakland in the AL West. The starting lineup for the Angels brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Mike Scioscia was kind enough to let Harold Reynolds make out the lineup tonight, and here's what he came up with. Cole Calhoun leads off in right, then Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton. Anybody could have done that. And then Eric Ibar, the shortstop, Howie Kendrick, David Freese, Hank Conger. Colin Cowgill is in left, batting in the number 9 spot. Good luck, Miles Mikolas. This right-hander has got a good fastball. Does he have other stuff to get hitters off his fastball? That's the question that will be answered over the next hour.
Well, Scioscia said that he was going to give Trout a day off, and I said Joe Buck is doing the game, and he will be upset. And he said, all right, go ahead then, put him in.
Maybe tomorrow he gets that day off.
He will get no days off, and the Angels have taken no days off since they have gone on this hot streak, and they are right on the heels of the A's, who possess the best record in the game. Here's the defense for the Rangers. Smolinski, longtime minor leaguer, is in left. Martin in center, Rios in right. With the all-star Beltre, Andrews, Odor, Pena all the way back around into the Texas organization. Chirinos, he's been a find behind the plate while Giovanni Soto has been out. There's a look at the AL West. This is as close as they have been since the 10th of June, and those are the 2 best records in all of Major League Baseball, stacked up in the AL West. How about keys to the game? I'm always wondering what we're going to come up with on a Saturday night. Baseball night in America. Tom Verducci has thought long and hard about the keys to the game, the Lincoln keys to the game.
Let's solve that mystery right away, right? Healthy ace for the Angels. That means Jared Weaver came out after 2 innings with back spasms. Through a bullpen, he seems fine. We'll see. And for Texas, make it a track meet. You can run on Weaver a little bit. And the Rangers, without a lot of power, need to get the running game working.
Here is Cole Calhoun. First pitch is outside from Mikolas. That's ball 1. Calhoun has been red hot, hitting .388 since the 6th of June, and he makes what would be considered one of the deeper lineups in baseball even deeper. Not your typical leadoff guy, but he can pound it. He hits one into center, back near the track, and now a leap and a catch by Martin. And that's the way we start on a Saturday night in Arlington, Texas. One away.
Boy, what a terrific catch, too. I mean, he's going back in the sun. I was looking at the sunlight before this ball was hit. See the glasses to go up, jump, know the ballpark, know where he's at. This kid has continued to improve since arriving and being part of this club the last 3 years. And you see every day he does something different. But, man, this is a great catch, Tom.
Beautiful catch. A little bit concerned there when that foot hit the bottom of the wall. Looks like he's okay, though.
Limping around out in center field. Here's Mike Trout, and we've got about roughly 31 graphics on Mike Trout. Any way you want to slice up the first 2.5 years in the big leagues, they are just knock you over. Incredible. The stats he's put together. Takes a strike over the inside corner.
You know, outside of the stats, I was in draft day when I met Mike Trout, 17 years old. Hasn't changed. Great kid, approachable, terrific family.
22 years old. And I think, Tom, well, there's no argument, I don't believe, from this group that this is the best player in Major League Baseball.
I don't think you'll get an argument anywhere. What's interesting, Joe, he's watched those first 2 pitches. He told me he has trouble seeing the ball early in the game in this park.
Oh, there's a broken bat.
So did Beltre. 2 out. Hard to see. We're obviously starting at 6:15 local time, and if it was Trout having a tough time seeing it at the plate, it was Beltre having a tough time seeing the line drive at third.
And watch the bat here. This is a ball that he probably would hit. See it shattered in a bunch of pieces. Tom, you're dead on that.
Well, the same thing happened last night. I noticed, Harold, that he really didn't see pitches, was flinching away from them. He flied out to right field his first time up, and he said, I should have crushed that pitch. I just really didn't see it. Different kind of lighting here. Another inning or 2 should be fine.
So now with 2 out, nobody on, it's the suddenly red-hot Albert Pujols, who is doing more consistently what the Angels hoped they would see a couple of years ago. First pitch inside. You look at the defense, they play him to pull everywhere. Infield, outfield. If the pitcher could play him to pull, he would, but he's stuck on the rubber and bringing home, working out of the stretch as a starter. Strike over the inside corner.
Well, the one thing you see they're doing, too, they're playing him to pull, but they're pitching him in to make him pull, because Albert has really gone back to being a lot of what we saw early in his career and putting up the big numbers, being able to shoot the ball over the ballpark. He's going to take what they give him.
That's a strike outside part. Strike two.
I'm with you, Harold. I think that shift we're looking at, to me, it's about 3 or 4 weeks outdated. He's been a much better hitter in the last 3 weeks, and the average has shown that, in terms of using the whole field and especially driving the ball right center field.
We'll hear from Ken Rosenthal about that as we go through the night. Pujols, clunker to third, backing up. Beltre, another broken bat, and a 1-2-3 start for Michaelis. Second out of this first inning. It was All-Star Trout. Shattered bat, soft line drive to All-Star Beltre. Where is it? Where is it? No score after a half. As we do, it's brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Shin-Soo Choo is battling a bad ankle and looking for hits, hitting .246. He's the DH. Then it's Andrews batting second, Alex Rios, Adrian Beltre, Martin, Smolinski, Pena, Chirinos, and Rougned Odor at second base batting ninth against the right-hander Jared Weaver. And like you said, Tom Verducci checked out after 2 innings in his last start with a bad back, something that put him on the disabled list in 2012. Able to bounce back and make this Saturday night start.
Harold, I didn't see you volunteer to make out that Texas lineup. Didn't have quite the same names to work with.
No, I didn't recognize a lot of them.
Here's Chu. Talked to manager Ron Washington, who's in his 8th year with the Rangers before tonight's game. He gave this team a talking to after Thursday night's loss. It was an ugly loss, and then they lost last night after 15-6 on Thursday, 3-0 at the hands of Garrett Richards, who justice will be served in the world if Garrett Richards becomes an all-star on Tuesday night as a replacement maybe for David Price. That pitch is upstairs from Weaver.
Somewhere David Price is sitting there going, hold it, time out. Everybody keeps talking about me being replaced. What's going on here?
They evidently had some sort of a virus and might make the start tomorrow, which then would not prohibit him from participating. They changed that rule in the All-Star game on Tuesday, but limit him. And if he chooses to check out, then Garrett Richards is the obvious choice to take his spot.
He's had a fantastic start to the season.
Here's a 2-2 pitch, fouled away left side.
I just wish I was a fly on the wall in that Rangers clubhouse Thursday night. Do you know that talking to that Ron Washington gave his team? They say it lasted almost 30 minutes.
Wow.
I would have bought a ticket for that.
Man, I'll tell you what now.
It would have been interesting. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Chu takes the pitch down and in. Ken Rosenthal is with us. We'll check in with Kenny about that talking to that Ron Washington gave his team on Thursday. There was a recording of a talking to he gave his team during the World Series in 2011.
That was when they were winning. That was a World Series team. Imagine what he's doing to this club.
I want this one.
Here's a leadoff walk to Chu. Ken Rosenthal, what was going on Thursday night from Wash?
Well, Wash was upset, and the reason he was upset, Joe, he told me, while the players have different levels of ability now, this is not a top-flight Rangers team, he wasn't seeing them play to the best of their ability, and that is what bothered him the most. One of the players told me that Washington was not upset with the effort, but with the focus, and yes, he did threaten jobs. So this is something that probably was overdue. Here's a guy, Ron Washington, that has been looking at this, looking at players who are stagnating and regressing. It was probably time for a kick in the rear.
Well, Elvis Andrus, one of the guys who is underperforming after that big contract, takes a strike. 2 homers, 22 RBIs. Got a big contract, a lot of money out there, hitting .266 and trying to get it going. He is one of the few veterans in this lineup, along with Rios and the guy behind him, Beltre, who's leading the league in hitting. Why not? Weaver off the mound, and the wide throw, but safe at first as the ball gets away from Pujols. 2 on, nobody out.
That's the wrist that Albert broke a year or so ago. Here comes Mike Scioscia right now to check on him.
And he's going to argue with the home plate umpire that the runner was inside the line and therefore out of that running lane. We'll get a good look at it as the throw beat him but pulled Pujols off the bag. The tag was there, but the ball came out.
See, and this is one of those plays in baseball that I understand the argument, but if you look where Elvis Andrus is at, where's the base? He's running straight to the base, but the line's on the outside. It's one of these oxymorons of the ball game. You can't run out there and then reach back in. You're going straight to the base, and the base is on the inside where you're running.
I've always said it's one of the dumber rules that we have in baseball to run in that lane. Now, the ball doesn't have to hit the runner in this case. If the runner is out of the baseline and impedes the fielder's ability to catch the ball, then it is interference, and that's what Mike Scioscia is arguing right here. The ball does not have to hit the runner.
I just think it's one of those, you're privy to the rules of the game, and it's not fair.
And this is why I would take the baseline out of the game, because it creates these kind of arguments. We don't have a lane at any other base, but we have it at first base.
They give an error, a sacrifice for Andrews, and an error on the pitcher Weaver on the throw. The bigger issue is what you said, Harold, that immediately after the play, Pujols is digging at that left elbow, and he got his wrist and glove caught in there with Andrews coming down the line. In any event, it's 2 on with nobody out. The batter is Alex Rios, and a rare scoring chance for the Rangers.
I guess my question would be, is that not a reviewable play?
Well, I think that word came up with Scioscia and the home plate umpire. If you can read lips in high definition.
Like you do. You're good.
Here's a strike in at the knees from Weaver. Here's that play again, but I don't think, and we see guys go down the line all the time, that was not crazy inside that baseline. I thought Andrews was fine.
I think he was fine, Joe, because I don't think he impeded Albert's ability to catch the baseball. Now, he did have to reach in there, but I don't think he blocked his view or in any way impeded the ability to catch the ball.
Yeah, it was a bad throw. Here is Rios into the hole. It's short. He'll get the lead man. A good play by the all-star Eric Ibar with Freeze heads up going to the bag, 1 out.
Oh, that is a good play and a tough play, too. You think, go to second, get the force. No, the ball's taking you that way already. So you go ahead and just follow. And the play, Joe, like you said, nice play by Freeze. A lot of times the third baseman doesn't get credit. This is a great read. To get back, give him a good angle, and be able to see the base and make the play. And now you still have a double play in order, but that's a nice play. If he throws back, he doesn't really. Now you're creating a routine play making it more difficult.
It sets up first and second, 1 out for Adrian Beltre, who is leading the American League, hitting .341. Strike one from Weaver.
You know, back to that meeting real quick, and you're talking about guys underproductive and not doing what they need to do. That's why Elvis Andrus is bunting now. We didn't see that at the beginning of the year. He's a guy supposed to bunt, shoot the ball the other way, hit and run. He got totally out of his game.
Well, the good bunt set up the opportunity, but now the Rangers are looking for somebody to cash in on it, and they have their best at the plate. That's a little bit high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Every time I watch Adrian and you see him dancing in the box, that means he's looking for a breaking ball. And you'll see him fall down to his knee a lot of times. When those feet start dancing, you got a pretty good idea he's thinking about something off speed. There it is.
Weaver spins and looks back at the lead runner, Andrus. Well, you start looking at the career numbers, which we popped up when Ken Rosenthal was talking with Adrian Beltre before tonight's game. And he is definitely in that Hall of Fame conversation. There goes the runner, Andrus. Throw down not made. Second and third, 1 out. A double steal with Rios and Andrus.
Yeah, we talked about this early, making a track meet. This also takes the double play out of order, but Weaver being not very quick to the plate. Conger not really known for throwing ability. It's a combination that the Rangers can take advantage of.
Yeah, that's a great baseball play, too, because if you're going to get the force out at third, you don't want Elvis standing at second base. If you got 2 guys on that can run, force the action a little bit.
Why not for a team that's lost 20 of their last 23?
Yeah.
Make something happen. Here comes a 2-1 pitch with now first base open. The count goes to 3-1, and Jared Weaver, the veteran right-hander, can make whatever pitch he wishes here with first base open, behind on the count, and Leonis Martin on deck.
Yeah, and they have the infield back. The Angels are basically saying, look, we're going to either walk him and make sure this doesn't end up being a big inning. We're going to score runs today.
Well, I'd be surprised if he challenged him right here. As you said, Joe, with the base open, this is the one guy in the lineup when the day starts, you say, don't let him beat us.
The All-Star waits. Former All-Star brings it, and he did challenge a foul back and out of play, a full count.
Yeah, good pitch, though. Down and away, Beltre being aggressive. I like that, Harold, being aggressive here. This is really a pitcher's pitch, down and away. But in a run-scoring situation where an out can get you a run, I like expanding the zone a little bit.
Well, and Adrian knows I'm the guy supposed to drive in these runs right here. Pick something up. So you want him swinging the bat.
On 3-2, a strikeout and a big one for Weaver, 2 down. So he gets Beltre after the double steal, and Adrian leading the league in hitting is the first strikeout victim of the night.
Well, you see a nice little cutter ball running back in. Actually ends up being a changeup to a right-hander, very difficult to pick up. You know what, Joe, Adrian knew he was going to have a left-hander hitting behind him, protect him most of the season, right? He just thought he was going to weigh about another 100 pounds. Right. You know, he thought it was going to be Prince Fielder.
Well, Prince had the neck fusion surgery in late May, and the Rangers have been scrambling. They've had to just wear out the disabled list. They called up a young left-hander, Ryan Fearben, who could get the start tomorrow, the finale before the All-Star break. He's the 50th guy they've had on their active roster so far in 2014. That's a record before the All-Star break. It was not just Prince. There's a strike over the outside corner.
A lot of young guys going, thank you very much. You know, think about the 40-man rosters they had to adjust just to get those guys to the big leagues. Not just 25, but the 40-man.
That's a lot of moves. 50 players. That's the varsity and the JV in 93 games.
Here's the 0-1. Foul back, strike 2. Take a look at these numbers as Conger will go out and talk before the All-Star break since '84. These are games missed by players on the disabled list, and by a mile. The Rangers lead that list. They want no part of.
Wow.
Some big names on there. Not just Fielder, Jurickson, Profar, Soto, their catcher, and a lot of injuries to their rotation. That's high, ball one.
And that's probably the biggest killer is the rotation. You know, sometimes you can get through it with position players, but when you lose your whole pitching staff and you think you're going to be able to reach down and get players to replace your pitching staff, that ends up being a long year.
In this park. Here's a 1-2. That's on the inside corner, and Weaver strikes out hitters back to back with second and third to end the inning. Got Beltre, got Martin, and after one in Arlington, Texas, Angels coming to bat in the second. There's no score. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 12 years. You can join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit MLB.com for details. Warm night, upper 90s in Arlington, Texas. It was more boos than cheers for Josh Hamilton in his second year with the Angels. And they shift defensively for Josh as we start the second. No score.
A warm night, not a warm reception, that's for sure.
He was quoted in the paper today saying it was tougher last year. Now it just feels like another road game. But with a reaction that he gets in no other park. As he flies one into left, late break, and a dive and a catch for out number one. Smolinski.
This is a great play. We've already seen the batters, the center fielder, now the left fielder and third baseman fighting the sun. He's fighting it all the way. Got a good jump on that ball, got his eyes down towards the baseball. Excellent play.
Hey, well, you almost get in the habit of going, nice play, but let's see on replay real quick, right?
Yeah, I was looking to see if it was a clean catch, and it was by Jake Smolinski in left. And now Eric Ibar, as they play Eric to pull in the outfield. Third baseman Beltre in front of the bag at third, and he shows bunt. Ibar does, takes a ball.
Well, you saw that look we had there of the shadows, and Josh probably hit the best ball of the night other than the ball. Because two balls have been hit good, but you saw a lot of broken bats with Pujols and Trout And then the Rangers not seeing pitches as well. It's just tough to pick up when it goes light to dark to light. That's really tough to see.
And let's remember, too, starting time a little bit earlier for this game Saturday night, about an hour earlier.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Ibar fouls it away, strike 2 for Eric. He is an all-star for the first time. He's going to take his kids to Disneyland. Instead, he is going to take his kids to the Disneyland of the Midwest, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
They can go to the Mall of America.
They can walk around in there, and he can spend whatever bonus he gets to be an all-star inside the gigantic mall in the Twin Cities. First Angels shortstop to be an all-star since Gary DiSarcina in the mid-90s. True high hop for Beltre, 2 out. But Ibar's been doing it for a long time. He and the guy behind him, Howie Kendrick, a good double play combination. They played together and they hit back-to-back tonight. Ibar with 49 RBIs as their shortstop batting 5th. And here's Kendrick, who's hitting .284.
You know, we always talk about Howie Kendrick might win a batting title someday because he's got that approach to stay inside the baseball and shoot it the other way and all that. It just hasn't quite happened yet. You got hit pretty consistent and a high average to win a batting title. That's a lot to heap on a person.
He is a career .291 hitter. He steps in tonight hitting .284. That's up the middle, and the first base hit of the night for the Angels keeps the top of the second inning alive with David Freese coming up.
And you saw Michaelis there pitching out of the stretch with nobody on base. May seem like he's borrowing a page from Yu Darvish, but really for most of his professional career he's worked out of the bullpen. He's only made 19 starts out of 265 career games. So obviously much more comfortable working out of the stretch.
He was drafted by the Padres in 2009, came up in 2012, got into 25 games, no starts, was 2-1, traded to Pittsburgh this last offseason, and about a month and a half later traded to Texas. And they've had that Round Rock shuttle working between Arlington and AAA, and Michaelis found himself on it, making his 3rd big league start.
I asked him about that month in the Pirates organization. He actually was excited. He's from Florida. Pirates train in Florida. Looking forward to that. His dad went out and got a Pirates hat and a Pirates shirt. A month later, he's traded to the Rangers, and so now his dad uses that Pirates shirt for gardening and washing the car.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Unique history with Michaelis. Ken Rosenthal, give us a little more on this right-hander.
Joe, he does have a unique history, Joe. He's famous for swallowing a lizard live while in the Arizona Fall League in 2011. Now, he told me he's a picky eater, but he was in the minor leagues at the time. Clubhouse dues can get expensive, and he needed the couple $100 that his teammates offered him. So he doused the lizard with Mountain Dew, swallowed it, washed it down with Mountain Dew, and told me he threw it down real quick. That was all she wrote.
For a couple $100?
Minor leagues, Joe. Needed the bucks.
$250 his teammate scraped up.
Was it a live lizard?
It was live in the bullpen.
Oh.
What?
2 balls and a strike. We have the video, but we've been banned from showing it.
Thank goodness.
I'm just trying to think of, wow, how did he digest that thing?
It's on YouTube if you are dying to see it out there. Miles Michaelis, a 25-year-old right-hander from Jupiter, Florida, eating a lizard. 2 balls and a strike. 1 on, 2 out. Now 3-1 on David Freese, who's gotten hot. First year with the Angels.
You know, it always takes somebody a little bit of an adjustment to a new team, and it's taken him an adjustment. You see June is really starting to take off. You know, new environment, new coaches, everything. You try to impress everybody with what you can do.
Reunited with his teammate Albert Pujols, part of a world championship in 2011. He has 1 career home run against the Texas Rangers, regular season and postseason, and it was a memorable one. Talked to Jerry Fraley, the writer here, great writer here in the Arlington, Dallas area, and he said he talked to Neftali Feliz. And Feliz was talking about the matchup last night with David Freese, and Feliz didn't know who Freese was. And yet Freese is the guy who tied the ball game in the 9th inning with 2 out and 2 strikes in Game 6, and then later won it in the 11th. Here's a foul straight back.
Didn't know who he was. I couldn't believe they actually brought Feliz in the game to face Freese for the first time since that Game 6. David obviously was aware of it.
Freese got him for an RBI base hit up the middle.
Wow. I can't comprehend that.
Not knowing who he is?
Yeah.
That would leave a mark. I'd remember that face, and
that's the biggest play in Rangers history. The ball's caught. They're world champions.
I'm sure Jerry will be writing about that tonight, and it'll appear in the paper tomorrow.
Wow. I'm still stuck on the fact he didn't know who he was.
I thought you were stuck on eating a lizard.
That too. I'm stuck everywhere today.
Runner goes on a foul, backing out of play. So Kendrick will have to come back, and on this 97-degree night, do it again.
So I don't understand the conversation here with the pitcher and the catcher. You don't need this at this point in time. It's 3-2, 2 outs. He's running. You gonna do hold your motion? No. If he's running, he's running.
No issue with signs.
There's Mike Maddox, the pitching coach for Ron Washington. Maddox in his 6th year here. He's had his hands full this year, introducing himself to one pitcher after another. Runner goes, 3-2 pitch, struck him out on a breaking ball, down and away, and that's 2 scoreless put up by Michaelis. Bottom of the 2nd will roll in, as will Smolinski, Pena, and Chirinos. No score. Fox is sponsored by the Lincoln Summer Invitation. Visit your Lincoln showroom today. Right down the street, you've got the stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play and many big events. And here in Arlington, you've got Globe Life Park. Fans follow every game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download the app, the App Store, or visit MLB.com today. Here is Smolinski, who made that diving catch out and left to begin the top of this inning. He leads off 8 out of 14 since being called up. They're down to a guy that has been bouncing around in the minor leagues, finally getting his first taste of the big leagues, and so far he has made it count. That's upstairs, a ball and a strike.
First Rangers player with 8 hits in his first 4 games, and as this season has gone for Texas, last night he just gets drilled in the left elbow. You see him with the pad there now. They held their breath for a moment. He's okay, obviously.
1-1 pitch is chopped slowly. Tough play. Ibar got it. Good play. 1 away, and we'll give you the Game Changer profile, brought to you by T-Mobile, official sponsor of Game Changers. And we look at Jared Weaver and the all-time best winning percentage in July for the guy who was the 12th overall pick back in 2004.
I'll add one disclaimer to that, Joe. He does not like this ballpark. In fact, he told me heat and humidity, that's my kryptonite. Has 8 losses in this ballpark, the most of any ballpark that he's pitched in. And today, as he's done the last couple of times he pitched here, he actually warmed up in the batting tunnel underneath the stands rather than in the bullpen to try to conserve some energy.
Wow. That's kind of getting to your head.
Here's Pena.
Well, I think the other thing, Harold, I think that hurts him in this park, he's a fly ball pitcher. Throws a lot of fly balls, and in this park with the jet stream, especially out to right center field, what can be fly outs out in Anaheim turned out to be home runs in this park.
Here's a 1-0 pitch from Weaver. Good breaking ball for a strike. Jared got around a second and third 1-out situation in the first by striking out Beltre and Martin. Got Smolinski, has Pena now. Chirinos on deck. Shift. More and more hitter after hitter. I guess it would really make sense with Pena, who does a lot of that.
Yeah, he's been seeing a lot of shifts for several years, and he's thinking about one thing, that's putting that ball in the seats.
Now look where Kendrick is out here. You ever play that deep at second base, Harold?
No, I didn't play that deep even on the AstroTurf. You know, that's out there. The one thing people forget too, if he ranges to his right, you better have a shortstop's arm to throw somebody out.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. It's ripped into the corner in right. This ball is fair. Rattles around back into the infield out of the hand of Calhoun on a 1-out double by Carlos Pena.
Hey, what, Joe? Until a couple weeks ago, when Carlos Pena was getting ready, he was going to work at MLB Network, and got a phone call and said, "Hey, you still want to play a little baseball?" So he said, "Yeah." Ball stays in the park.
You had Michael Young on the air the other day too, right?
Yeah, Michael Young was terrific. Yes, he still lives here in Arlington. His kids are here, but did a special on the hitting dilemma in baseball and the different approaches. And Michael was incredible. Obviously, 7-time All-Star and career 300 hitter.
Yeah, former All-Star MVP. That game in Pittsburgh. Runner at second with 1 out. A strike hits the inside corner from Weaver.
How do you remember all that?
Because I was there.
Yeah, I know, but you've been there for like 20 years.
That's the one that sticks out to me.
He's got a better recall than Neftali Feliz, I guess.
Runner at second, 1 out. Maybe I'm violating.
Oh.
And that's in on Chirinos. Hits him up around the shoulder, left arm, and he'll go down to first as Weaver has 2 on again in the inning.
Again, conditions tough seeing the ball this time of day. Reacting a little bit late, especially after the first breaking ball, trying to hang in there. Just catches him on the left shoulder.
Tell you what, I like how he spins out of the way, though. You young kids watching, you want to spin away from the ball so you don't take your body to it. He spins away, and that's just going to carry him off you. And it's almost like a glancing blow instead of one that's going to hit and stick to you. So that was nice, being able to see the ball, react, and spin away from it.
Here's Rougned Odor, who's been struggling over the last 21 games. But when he first came to the big leagues, the 20-year-old made everybody forget momentarily about Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, we caught his game in Detroit when he first got up here. What, 2 triples that game or something? It's one about great.
He looks at ball 1 outside.
It's a familiar story. Guy comes up from the minor leagues. He's going to get challenged. Pitchers want to see if he can handle major league stuff in the zone. He could. And what they learned is that he will definitely chase outside the zone. You see the way Jared Weaver started him here. He really needs to work on discipline like a lot of young hitters.
That's hit into right field and will head toward the corner. Texas will take the lead. Pena will score. Here comes Odor. They'll hold him at third, and an RBI double by Rougned Odor. 1-0. Rangers on top.
We got a little off-speed pitch, and it was enough to put it in right field. I thought it was interesting. Right here, he's got a curveball. Stayed with it. Nice piece of hitting. Sometimes that slow curveball for a left-hander's really good pitch to hit. I thought Odor was going to run this guy out. He's going so hard thinking about 3. He comes around the bag there, and I thought he was going to force Torinos to go home.
This is what I like if you want to watch Gary Pettis, the third base coach. Watch how far he's going to get down the line. He wants to make sure the ball's handled cleanly in right field. The stop sign goes up as the runner gets the bag. See, some third base coaches are not going to get down the line. They don't buy themselves more time. If that ball is bobbled, Pettis still has to go ahead to send him home.
It's also got to be a challenge for any third base coach on a team like Texas, losers of 20 of 23, to not force it and wait for another hit or a run producing at bat. And he didn't force it, and it looked like a good decision. Now it's Chu at the plate, second and third, 1 out and 1 run home.
Yeah, and all those things go into your thinking of how you're going to wave guys ahead. That's part of thinking ahead. He knew he had the top of the order coming. Shin-Soo Choo basically can be a middle of the order type of guy, and you calculate that.
The 0-1 from Weaver, who can't duck out of trouble this time. Here's a slow roller to first. A run will score, and it's 2-0 on an RBI ground out by Shin-Soo Choo.
Some things happen when you put the ball in play.
Well, we saw Beltre do that. A guy going out of the zone in a situation where you know an out will get you a run. I like the approach.
Here's Elvis Andrus digging in. He reached on a sacrifice and an error, stole a base in the first. He's got an RBI chance, albeit a 2-out RBI chance here in the second. Odor, who got the big double in the inning, the RBI double, to set it up for Chu, waits at third. Strike one. We will talk about the American League West, something we talked about at great length with manager Ron Washington about before tonight's game, and how those teams will shake out as we go forward. That's outside, and the count 1-1 but I don't think there's any doubt that the best division in Major League Baseball is out here in the American League West.
I have to agree. I mean, when you're looking at how well constructed Oakland is, the Angels here, Seattle with their pitching, you can find a combination of plate, so to speak, of everybody having a little something that can get it done.
Here's a fly ball into right, should end the inning. As Calhoun is there, it's a 2-run frame on 2 hits, a man left, and after 2 in Arlington, 2-0 Texas on top. Back after this from your local Fox station. Had the ride of his life when he joined Kirby Chambliss at Red Bull Air Race for an aerobatic flight in Arizona. You can watch the Red Bull Air Race series on Fox Sports 1 in August. And I would love to watch it. I would not like to participate in that at all.
I think if I ever did that, I wouldn't fly again.
No. CJ's on the DL. That ride had nothing to do with it.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
He's been dizzy ever since. Got a bad ankle, so he's on the DL and trying to get him going again. He's a big part of what the Angels hope to do. As Hank Conger leads it off, Cowgill will follow, and then Cole Calhoun. CJ with a sprained right ankle. He's allowed 19 earned runs, 31 hits over his last 16 plus innings over 4 starts. His ERA is 4.33. And to me, if the Angels, who appear offensively good enough, here is Pena kicking it at first, and Conger will reach to start the inning. The Angels need C.J. Wilson to figure out how to be C.J. Wilson again, as this will be an error on Pena and his first since returning to the Rangers.
Yeah, he just overran the ball and got his hand in there too soon and kicked it.
So now each side has an error as we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. I'm Joe, that's Harold, that's Tom, and we'll see how Michaelis does with a little 2-run lead.
Well, the biggest thing, he's been thrown out of a stretch, so he must be real comfortable, as Tom talked about earlier in the game. And sometimes that can be an advantage for a pitcher.
Can be. I think I was impressed with the slider he threw David Freese to end that last inning, because that's the pitch that's a real separator for him. He's got a good overhand breaking ball, an old school 12-6. But as you know, Harold, sometimes it's tough to get those called for strikes or even get guys to swing at it. The slider we saw in a fastball count, 3-2 count, is disguised as a fastball, and he'll get a lot of swings and misses on that. That pitch has really been money for him.
Did you see Allie, our stage manager, try to sneak in and get in the shot?
Did she?
Did she?
Oldest trick in the
you,
book.
Allie. That used to be
people.
photobombing. Now she's trying to jump in. I'll see how it works.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. It's a little bit high again to the number 9 man, Colin Cowgill. They're getting a lot out of Cowgill, out of Cole Calhoun, and out of C.J. Cron. They've got pieces here. And I thought it was interesting. If you weren't going to ask him, Tom, I was going to ask Mike Socia if you had a huge sum of money for the Angels to spend on a player and you could make it happen, what would you add? And he said a physical therapist to keep my guys healthy, because I like what I've got right now. That's hard hit, base hit left side. An error, a single by Cowgill, and down 2-0. The Angels have their first 2 on here in the third.
And that's why that play at first base is so important, to get that out, because you know you're getting ready to turn this lineup over, and it's almost like murder's row. As you start to move, you got to go through Trout, Pujols, and Hamilton, regardless of what Calhoun does here. You're going to Trout and then on through, and that's the difficult part of that error.
Yeah, you'd like to face the middle with the bases clean, but this is the highest scoring offense in baseball. They can hurt you anywhere, and Cole Calhoun, to me, as a leadoff hitter, he doesn't profile, I don't think, as a typical leadoff guy. In fact, he was hitting bombs last night in batting practice, and a couple of guys were joking with him. Hey, you're a leadoff hitter. Act like one. He's much more than that.
So he's got some thump. He was originally an 8th round pick, so he wasn't a huge prospect coming in, but he's made himself one. And he's jumped to the big leagues now, over 300 overall. Takes a strike.
You know, one of those weird oddities in baseball, I remember when Ricky Henderson was playing, I don't know the stat exactly, but you know, he threw left-handed, hit right-handed. Cowgill does that. There's not many guys in baseball that throw left and hit right. It just doesn't happen very often. I think Ricky was like one of the few in the history or something like that.
There's a lot of things Ricky did and said that not a lot of people have thought about doing over the years, or saying. That's down and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. And new baseball for the pitcher, Michaelis.
Well, you mentioned Calhoun, not a high draft pick, 8th rounder, but he was a senior coming out of high school, out of college. So you're generally not going to see those guys. They don't have the leverage drafted high, but he could always hit. That was Arizona State. And he's done nothing but hit coming up through the system.
Same story as Calhoun, right? Wasn't he at Arizona State?
Calhoun, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's that breaking ball, by the way, from Michaelis. I don't see a lot of those anymore with the big 12-6. turn on it.
I think that's starting to come back. We've seen it a lot more. You know, where guys are starting to get away from the cutter and the split. Now, maybe it's because of all the arm injuries, but that 12-6 is starting to come back.
Good pitch from Michaelis. And that's a big strikeout to keep the runners at first and second. Now 1 out, second of the night, and it'll bring in Mike Trout, who homered here last night. He will turn 23 on August 7th. 27th player out of just under 6,000 in big league history to be selected for the All-Star game in his first 3 seasons. 4th AL outfielder all time to play in 3 All-Star games before his 23rd birthday, joining Mantle, Kaline, and Jr., Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, any way you look at what Mike Trout has done, it's just stunning, and he just gets better and better.
Yeah, and there's still holes in his game. You know, that's the amazing thing. He's still got room to grow. He's got 90 strikeouts at this point in time. He's still not stealing the bases at a high rate that we saw the first year or two. I mean, there's so many things for him to grow. It's going to be incredible when we look back 10 years, 15 years from now, if he stays healthy, of what he can do.
2 on, 1 out for the Angels, down 2-0. That's inside. Almost walked into it. 2-0. And when you ask Scioscia, he said what he's done, at least from last year to this year, is make himself a better outfielder with jumps and reading hitters, which is what the great outfielders, especially center fielders, do. Reading the pitch, reading the hitters, their approach. Even with all the highlight reel catches that he had his first 2 years. Here's one off the hands, falling fast. This ball is down for a base hit. Runners had to hold, and the bases are loaded with 1 out on a base hit by Mike Trout.
Well, Tom, you talked about it, having a tough time picking up the ball early. He got a pitch inside on 1-0 that looked like it was going to hit him. And then right here, this ball is really center cut. I thought, man, he's getting a good pitch to hit. Pops it up, it falls in. That's a ball that, even looking at his reaction at first base, he probably thought he should have drove that somewhere out of the ballpark.
Meeting on the mound as Mike Maddox comes out. You can still see Leonis Martin limping in center field after that catch he made to start the night. And Michaelis is in a jam with the bases loaded, 1 out, and Pujols coming up.
Well, he's got to be hoping he gets a ground ball, maybe get Albert to double up. But Albert's on a roll right now. And look at what he does with the bases loaded. This year, 133. But he's starting to swing the bat. That was a good year.
Among the guys in the 500 home run club, which Albert is in with 512 in his career, he's got the 5th highest OPS, on base plus slugging percentage, all time. And he is on that list with the immortals of the game.
You know what's funny about OPS to me, and we talk about the immortals of the game, I really think if those old dudes knew that was going to mean something later, don't tell me Ted Williams wouldn't have said, okay, oh, you want OPS? That's a new stat? Let me see what I can do. You know what I mean? I think we've come to that point where this is the OPS generation. Had they played for that stuff, I think it'd be a lot different too.
Here's a shot foul down the left field line. These fans saw enough of Pujols when he hit 3 home runs in a World Series game here during the 2011 World Series, and this ball was just thumped but pulled foul.
And you saw the leg kick coming out of that swing right there with Albert, and that's something that he's going to do when he knows he's got a chance to charge a ball. He just missed it.
Exactly right. That's what happens when you get the pitch you're looking for in a fastball count. Just a little bit out in front.
Here comes a 1-1 from Michaelis, and that's hammered in the air to left center field. It will be caught. Second diving catch by the left fielder Smolinski, and it's a sacrifice fly instead of a bases clearing double. 2-1 game as Smolinski keeps Texas out in front. Wow.
I'm going to call him the flying Smolinski if I can get it out. I mean, look at the reach on this. Perfect timing into the sun. That's a spectacular catch. That saves 3 runs right there.
Tell you what, it saves 3 runs, and we're looking at the game being broken wide open right here. That's a great catch.
Fantastic play by Jake Smolinski in left. 7 years between the Nationals and the Marlins organizations got as high as AAA. He came up, got 3 straight multiple hit games. He's 25 years old, and he just shocked Albert Pujols with that play in the gap in left center field. It's 2-1. Now Hamilton, strike one. They forgot to boo Hamilton. That play was so good in left center field here in Arlington.
Wow. You know, watching Josh hit today, Tom and I were down at the cage just talking about how long his backswing is. It is incredible how far he reaches back. The catcher better back up.
Now in the hole, 0-2. Played in Texas, Hamilton did, from 2008 through last year to 2012. Last year, his first year with the Angels, ended up hitting .250. 21 home runs, down from 43 in his last year with Texas. Way out in front. The strikeout ends the top of the third. But how about the rookie Jake Smolinski in left? He's made 2 tonight. One coming in a bit to his right. This one off the bat of Albert Pujols with the bases loaded for out number 2. He keeps the lead along with Michaelis after 2.5. 2-1. Rangers on top. We welcome you back for the bottom of the third inning. Alex Rios first up. It's 2-1. Texas on top, mainly because of the pitching of Miles Michaelis and the defensive work of Jake Smolinski out in left. What a play he made on Albert Pujols with the bases loaded and 1 out in the top of this third inning. So 2-1. Robbing Pujols. Good to see for Albert that the left wrist, elbow, hand, everything that was involved in that collision at first base back in the first inning is okay, as he put a charge into a couple of balls during that at bat. As the count goes to 2-1 from Jared Weaver. Rios able to lay off, and the count 3-1. You rarely get a big league player, professional, to admit that something has crawled into his head like this ballpark has here in Arlington for Jared Weaver. As he gets one by Rios, who chased ball 4 up and in. The count goes full at 3-2, but not liking this ballpark, changing his pregame routine, got into trouble in the first, got out of it, got into trouble in the second, couldn't get out of it, and he's full on Rios here in the third. Jared's won 9 games this year. Here is a shot in the air to left. Back into the corner. It is off the wall. And Rios has got a leadoff double to start this third inning.
Yeah, he shook to get to the slider here and left it up in the zone. His breaking stuff has not been quite as sharp as he would like in this game. And Rios takes advantage of the mistake.
And Alex Rios, one of those guys as we're winding down the season here, heading towards the trade deadline in the next couple of weeks. We're going to hear his name out there, I would think. Right-handed bat, can play some different places in the outfield for you. And there's not a whole lot the Rangers are going to do this year.
Here's Beltre, who struck out with runners at second and third, one out back in the first inning. He fouls it back. Strike one. Ken Rosenthal is with us. Kenny, when you think about this Texas roster, Rios has got to be a guy that some teams might target here before the deadline.
No question, Joe, especially with the shortage of right-handed hitters in general in this age of offensive ineptitude, I guess you could call it. But here's the thing with Rios. $13.5 million club option for next year. And the Rangers might determine that he has more value to them than he does to another team if they don't get a good enough offer.
Kenny, you almost met your maker.
Oh, my goodness.
And Leonis Martin as well.
It almost got Martin and then hit the area right in front of Ken Rosenthal. But just to follow up, you look at this Rangers roster, Kenny, and I guess it's some of the pieces in the bullpen, like Soria at the back end, but he's not alone that teams could want to go get. Runner at second with nobody out. Ken was boycotting that question.
Well, I think he was still shaking off that foul ball.
I think so.
Yeah.
Kenny, what do you think? Bullpen going to be rated by contenders?
It should be, yes. And Soria is the most valuable guy they have. Like Rios, club option for next year, very affordable, $7 million, and the Rangers don't have a closer for next year without him. But he could bring them something pretty good in return. They also have 2 potential free agents in that bullpen who could go, Jason Frazier and Neil Kotz.
Here's a chopper to short. Ibar gets the out by getting Beltre. Another good play. We've seen some good defense here tonight along with 2 errors. Going second to third is Rios, 1 out.
It's a nice play. Once again, you go down with the one hand because you got a little more dexterity. Did you see him look off to see where the runner was going to be and then know how much he has to get on the ball? Nice play.
It's a great look at a 4-seam fastball, too, going across the infield. No cutters thrown by Eric Ibar.
Our camera was so tight you could see the black mark that bat left on the ball as it was spinning across the diamond. It's pretty cool.
Runner at third, 1 out. Infield comes in with Martin, who struck out. Second and third, 2 out, his first time up. Got a game break coming as Conger looked Rios back to third. Had a nice moment during the inning break for Eric Nadel, who's in his 36th season on radio for the Texas Rangers, and in 2 weeks from today, will become the 38th broadcasting member of the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Here's one to short. Weird hop, good play. Ibar, 2 out. Let's go for stop. Here's Kevin Burkhardt in the studio with a game break. Kinsler's an all-star. He is going to replace his teammate Victor Martinez, so he has delivered for Detroit in the first year after the deal that sent Prince Fielder here to Texas, who is out for the rest of the year.
Played great. And how often do you see teammates get to replace the other teammate? It seems like they do it by position all the time instead of maybe a teammate. Another Tiger gets to go instead of the other one.
Runner at third, now 2 out. That was a good play by Ibar that I know Harold caught your attention before the break.
Well, I got, chastised. I was making sure I shut up in time to get back to that game break. No, but I thought this is a ball Rios has got to read and go on. You know, it's up the middle. Ibar's got to go all the way to the left and come back. If he's going on contact, he's got to score on that ball. At least make an effort to go home.
Yeah, obviously not going on contact. I would have had the runner going on contact, especially with Weaver going out of the windup. You get more of a jump off the bag at third base. Rangers are in a position, let's face it, where they're playing for what? Not exactly the American League West, right? Push the envelope a little bit, put the contact play on.
Yeah, and I'm not a big contact play person, but with all those variables in place, yeah, you want to go contact right there.
Here's a 2-0. That drops in from Weaver. 2-1. Rangers right now are playing to try and avoid their first 90-loss season since 2003. I don't even want to talk about triple digits, but they are so hurt by injury that Ron Washington's trying to figure out a way to fill out a lineup card and keep them going. That's a little bit high in the count. 3-1.
And for the young players, you know, this is an opportunity to play in the big leagues and be able to be seen as part of their future, because that's where they've dipped down to A-ball, double-A, really reaching to the minor league system. Guys that would not have got an opportunity like this young man right here. Show your stuff. You never know what door is going to open next year for you.
Here is a 3-1 pitch. He held up, and it's first and third with 2 out. Talked about Eric Nadel. This was him before the game. They had all the voices of the major sports in the Dallas area. There's Brad Sham, voice of the Dallas Cowboys. And Eric Nadel is headed into Cooperstown, radio voice of the Texas Rangers, 36th year in the booth.
Well, I remember Eric when I would come through here playing for the Mariners at the old Arlington Stadium. It's been around a long time.
And as I got to see firsthand, this game will keep you young.
Yes.
Certainly did with my dad, and Eric has been treating these fans for 36 years as Pena pops it up. Should end the inning. Somebody can find it. That somebody is the left fielder, and the catch is made by Cowgill to end the inning. A leadoff double. A walk later, 2 left, 5 on the night for the Rangers, who after 3 lead it by 1. Official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball. By the new Samsung Galaxy S5, the next big thing is here. We cannot wait for Tuesday night in Minneapolis at Target Field. Major League Baseball's coverage of the All-Star Game festivities continues tomorrow with a 2014 Sirius XM All-Star Futures game on MLB Network. Then Monday with a 2014 Gillette Home Run Derby on ESPN. And on Tuesday with the All-Star Red Carpet Show presented by Chevrolet on MLB Network. And that will roll right through our pregame and to the ball game. 85th Major League Baseball All-Star Game here on Fox.
Joe, what do you look forward to in the All-Star Game?
I look forward to seeing guys that I haven't seen in person. That's what's coming up tomorrow, MLB Network. Monday on ESPN, the Home Run Derby at 8 Eastern. And then it's the All-Star Red Carpet Show Tuesday at 3 Eastern on MLB Network. Of all the guys that I'm excited to see in that game, and you can line up all the stars. We've got a couple of them on display here tonight. Biggest name probably Mike Trout, but Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
I want to see a guy who's listed, what, Tom, at 5'6"?
He's
5'5"?
He's probably 5'3".
5'3"?
He's little, man. He's
I
little.
think Ken Rosenthal knows exactly how tall he is.
1 ball, 2 strikes. That's into left center, and Martin stocks it 1 out. So he's the second baseman for the now American League Houston Astros. He's number 2 in the American League in batting average. He's stealing bases.
Yes,
he's
I hear
getting
you.
hits. Hi, Kenny. Do you know exactly how tall Altuve is?
Well, he's listed at 5'5".
Okay.
We're going to find out, though, exactly how tall
What are
he
you
is.
listed at?
Well, I am 5'4.5". The listing is me.
5'4.5".
5'4.5". And don't forget the half, Joe, please.
I would
Okay.
never.
So we're going to find out exactly how tall Altuve is because I'll measure up against him.
I think the bow tie makes you look shorter.
You may be right about that, Joe. People have said that.
You need a tie.
The long tie makes me a little lengthier.
Yeah, you need that. That's all right.
What happened to the jacket, Ken?
Jacket is off, Harold. It's 97 degrees here.
Hey, that was Tom.
Sorry, Tom.
But I'll take credit for it. I would have asked.
0-2 the count on Howie Kendrick, who singled his first time up.
Well, now we have a reason to tune in on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Ken Rosenthal and Jose Altuve back to back. Can't wait.
I think Ken's already got him measured up. He has something up his sleeve. I think he knows he's already bigger than him. That man can hit, though. Wow.
So can Altuve. Here's a ground ball right side. A second hit of the night for Howie Kendrick. 1 on, 1 out, and the batter will be David Freese, who struck out his first time. 2-1 game. Texas on top. Angels batting, looking for their 56th win of the season and their 18th over their last 22 games.
Well, that's what makes Howie Kendrick difficult, because the first at bat hits a ball up the middle. Second baseman figures, hey, I'll slide up the middle a little bit more. Then he shoots one to right field past it. So, got to use the field. He uses the whole field.
Freese steps in. 4 homers, hitting .252 at the start of the night. 0 for 1, so at .251 as Kendrick is chased back to the bag.
Now Freese is from St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
So how big of a star was he after that World Series at home?
Well, it was ridiculous.
Had to be.
He was Nelly big in St. Louis.
Put it this way, Harold. He has not bought a meal in that town since.
No. Great guy. 1 on, 1 out, foul back. And, you know, that was a postseason where it wasn't just Freese with 2 big swings. He was dominant. Really, that entire October was the MVP of the NLCS against Milwaukee, and then obviously went off against the Rangers in the World Series.
That had to be one of the coolest things for a local kid to do what he had done. And the story of his life is incredible, that he's even was playing in the big leagues.
He gave up the game and then had to rededicate himself to it as he spins away from 1 up and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. And then he was traded into the Cardinal organization for the aging Jim Edmonds. Cardinals got the third baseman with local ties. And next thing you knew, there he was. And he's had a ton of injuries. He's had a run of bad luck, some injuries. But when he's been healthy, he's been a productive, good defensive third baseman, but a productive hitter.
Well, the coolest part of that October for me when it comes to David Freese, he was in between apartments at the time. He spent the entire month, maybe the greatest month in October, at least a handful of guys have had, crashing on the couch of his buddy's place. Let me tell you, he barely fit in this couch.
Well, the luckiest guy in that part was his buddy. You know David Freese lives with me.
1 ball, 1 strike, and that's fouled right side. Strike 2. You saw that postseason in 2011. And a lot of at-bats hit just under 400.
Yeah. Oh, he was red hot. Red hot.
I do give John Mozeliak, the GM of the Cardinals, credit, though. You know, obviously there's an emotional tie to David Freese doing what he did in the World Series, being a local guy, but he traded Freese, got 2 young outfielders back. Borges really hasn't figured it out with a bat. Good defensive center fielder, and Randall Grichuk is a young outfielder that's got some pop. I think it's a trade that works out well for both sides.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it said anything really negative about David Freese, the way the Cardinals thought about them, but I know that John Mozeliak, watching that team in the postseason, said we need to get better defensively, especially in the outfield, and I think that's what that trade was designed to do.
Yeah, well, David needed to change the scenery, you know, and he struggled so much he wasn't able to get out of it. The thing I liked about it, he got a chance to get back with Albert and work with him.
Here's a broken bat, line drive, and that'll be an easy inning-ending double play with Kendrick coming off the bag. Would have been a double play probably either way, and that sends us into the bottom of the 4th inning with a bottom 2 in the lineup coming up. Another broken bat, and it was Michaelis with the play. Started a double play. 8, 9, and 1 hitters coming up for Texas up by 1. Fine pitch, his first time up. Odor and then Chu will follow. Guy with the first name of Robinson, followed by a guy with the first name of Rupned, followed by Shin-Soo Chu.
I thought you were just saying I adored you. I wasn't sure what that was.
It's year 1. Let's grow into that. Here's one off the end of the bat, foul right side, 1 ball, 1 strike. How much would you have liked Harold Reynolds to play for? And Tom, how much would you have liked to cover on a daily basis the manager of the Angels, Mike Scioscia?
Oh, I'd like to play for Mike. You know, he's an aggressive style. He lets you play every day. And he's one of these, a throwback, really. They got a set lineup. You don't see that in the big leagues very often.
Well, you would have loved it because you really could run. And Mike Scioscia, it's Green Light City. Most aggressive base running team in the big leagues. They also run into the most outside the bases, but he's willing to take those chances.
He's just a smart guy, Tom, and he's somebody who just doesn't do things without thinking about it. You look at his coaching tree, which you talk about a lot in the NFL, but it certainly happens in Major League Baseball. He's got Joe Madden, he's got Renicky, he's got Bud Black.
Yeah.
Guys who were coaches for him who are managing in other cities right now. Here's a pop-up, left center field, and it's Trout to his right. One out. Here's the coaching tree, and then we'll give you more on Mike Scioscia, two-time manager of the year. There's Buddy Black, who's with the Padres, Joe Madden, who's the innovator with Tampa Bay, and Ron Renicky with the Brewers, who, by the way, are now in a first-place tie after all that great play in the first half. And there is Mike Scioscia, who is in his 15th season with the Angels, signed through 2018.
It looked like for a period of time that 2018 he wasn't going to get there. You know, they struggled a little bit, and his name was brought up what they were going to do, but you know, he's been terrific.
And he told us there'll be another name added to that coaching tree. Dino Ebel, his bench coach, said he definitely is going to be a big league manager. It's a matter of time.
Well, I was there when Joe Madden was coaching Anaheim. I was there. Bud Black grew up in the Northwest. I've known him a long time. And then Ron Renicky I played with in Seattle. He was an old Dodger, so that's where he goes back with Mike Scioscia. A lot of these guys played with him throughout, and there's Ebel right there.
Those Dodger connections run deep.
Yeah, they do.
You know, like a guy like Scioscia and what he learned in that organization from all the superstars that would come back, hang around spring training, hang around Dodger Stadium, living in L.A., and guys who he would talk to. He is I just have really enjoyed covering him over the years, and you know, he's a guy that's won 5 divisions, won it all in 2002, two-time manager of the year. He's got a good resume.
You know, Joe, I always walk away from a conversation with him learning really something about the game, usually many things, but at least one. And today we talked about the throws to second base from the catching position. And Mike likes his guys throwing the baseball on steals to the second base side of the bag, not to the bag. And as you mentioned, the connections deep in that Dodger organization, something he picked up a long time ago from Johnny Roseboro, a great Dodger catcher.
Scioscia was a two-time All-Star player in his really good big league career. Here's one into left. Cowgill back to grab it. 2 out. Here's more on Mike Scioscia. Here's number 14. More number 14 with the Dodgers. Longest tenured manager in the big leagues in his 15th season. Hired back in 2000. As I mentioned, won it all in 2002. Good group he had then. Personal closing games. 5-time division title winner. 2-time manager of the year. However, Harold talked about the pressure that's been on Mike Scioscia. It's because of this. They've not been in the postseason 4 years straight. That changes, in my opinion, here in 2014.
I agree. I think this club is going to be a postseason team, and they got a chance to make a long run. With the arrival of Garrett Richards, that changes everything for their staff.
Chu fouls one left side. 0-2.
And the other thing, Mike, looking at those pictures through that graphic, was it the Anaheim Angels when he came in?
Yep.
Been through a name change to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Logos changed.
He wore periwinkle, put it that way.
Here's an 0-2. Chu pops it up. Really struggling with a bad left ankle. He jogs and limps down to first. It's a 1-2-3 inning, and the first of the night for Jared Weaver. As we go to the 5th inning on a warm night in Texas, 2-1. Home team on top. Sports 1. Beginning with the Dodgers and Yasiel Puig in St. Louis to take on the Cardinals. Then the Indians take on Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers in an AL Central Division matchup in Detroit. Our MLB doubleheader begins next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Hank Conger first up. 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Angels. Conger, Cowgill, Calhoun. First pitch outside, ball 1 to Hank, who reached on an error by Carlos Pena, leading off in the 3rd inning. 5th inning now, and Texas still leading by 1.
Young man's kept him in the game. He's pitched a nice ball game. Pitched out a couple jams, moving the ball in and out.
Here's a shot into right center field. Over to his left, Martin, 1 out.
And they've been running some balls down for him.
Yeah, they have. Martin with 1 really good play to start the night and 2 beauties out of Smolinski and left. They'll bring in Colin Cowgill. You ask, in our research department, Stats Inc., and many others, goes to work to find out that Colin is the 56th position player all time to bat right and throw left-handed, joining that list, which includes Rickey Henderson.
It's a lot more than I thought. I thought it was 5. So I missed by 51.
By 51. With 1 out, Cowgill takes a ball.
So Rickey retired, what, about 10 years ago? Something like that.
From
so
what? I mean, he's probably still playing independent ball.
There's no doubt. So there's been 51 guys since he retired. No. He is playing somewhere. You know that.
He has to. Still stealing bases.
Still looks great.
Well, Rickey looked good now. You know that. Rickey going to look good. Rickey going to tell you. Rick gonna let you know how it is. Rick got good hand playing cards right now. Ricky getting ready to put one. Ricky put down an ace on you. Ricky put an ace.
That's the voice of Harold Reynolds. His time is called at the plate.
He is a beauty, man.
The Rickey Henderson stories among baseball guys who have ridden buses with him to ballparks and been in clubhouses with him are legendary. But
most of them are true.
We can just leave him there. He retired 11 years ago from the big leagues, and then I know for a while tried to come back in the independent leagues.
So do a nice job working with the Oakland team. You know, being able to be around those guys and share his knowledge, and he will share it too.
You know, I did get a chance to see him when he was playing independent ball. It was for the New York Bears. He was renting a place in New York City. He was paying more in his monthly rent than what he was getting paid by the New York Bears. You gotta love the game. You're essentially paying to play independent baseball.
1 out, nobody on. 2-1 pitch is fouled back off the bat of Cowgill, strike 2.
I remember when he was playing for the Mets, and he saw me. He said, "Man, Met need to pay Ricky more money. Ricky paying all this money in the apartment in New York. New York, not Oakland now."
I love the whole referring to yourself in the third person, which you did for a summer.
Long time, man.
No, Verducci.
Oh, Verducci did.
Didn't quite suit me. But these Ricky stories are like potato chips. Once you get started, there's no stopping.
Cowgill's hit by a pitch. Tying run is on. If you want breaking news in Major League Baseball, you come right here, and we send it down to Kenny Rosenthal with the loudest PA system in baseball to give us the breaking news.
Well, Joe, Angels fans are not going to like this. The Angels are not going to like this. And most of all, Garrett Richards is not going to like this. The American League has chosen Fernando Rodney to replace David Price in the All-Star game, snubbing Richards yet again. Now, both are deserving. Rodney leading the American League with 27 saves, but Richards, guys, 5th in the league with a 2.55 ERA. We saw it here last night. He is one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball.
I think the guy who's going to be most upset is Scioscia. The way he's reacted to Richards being snubbed to this point, it was one of the first questions he had for us tonight when we met with him. Runner down to second on out number 2 of this 5th inning. Ground ball by Calhoun. Here he is last night when he went 7, allowed no runs on 5 hits, struck out 8. He's 11-2, ERA of 2.5, and over his last 8 starts, he's 7-0 with a 1.27 ERA. He's just filthy and dominant.
Well, there's no doubt he's had all-star half and he's got all-star stuff. But again, you got to look at how the rosters are constructed. You know, and they're trying to win a game. You go to the end of the game, it's a bullpen game. You got another bullpen piece.
I'm sorry, it's not right. I mean, this guy, I don't care. He can come out of the bullpen. He did it last year. With the stuff he has at 97, cutting and running, and that breaking ball, you know, he deserves to go to the All-Star game. Don't tell me he's not on the team because you want more relief pitchers to run the game. That's just not right. The guy's pitching twice as many innings as Rodney does with better numbers.
Runner at second with 2 out. A quick meeting on the mound with Mike Trout at the plate.
I can't argue with Tom, but this is what they've built. That's what I don't necessarily like about how you have the team selected, because we've seen more relievers on the All-Star teams now than ever before.
That's a play made by Michaelis, and the inning is over. He's pitched well. He has pitched 5, allowed a run on 4 hits, lead by 1. Bottom of the 5th inning rolls in. Heart of the order coming up for Texas. 2-1. Will continue to until it comes to pass. Tuesday, baseball's best gather in Minnesota as the captain Derek Jeter takes the field in his last All-Star game. His 20th season, 14th All-Star game. Should be an emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1, followed by the All-Star game at 7:30 on Fox. Elvis Andrus first up. Andrus, Rios, and Beltre, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Rangers, up on Jared Weaver and the Angels 2-1. That's hammered foul. Elvis has a sacrifice, and he's fly to right.
It was an interesting decision when they signed Elvis to his long-term contract, because you knew Profar was coming, who's hurt right now, and you've signed Elvis for what, $126 million, something like that?
120. And he just hasn't developed, I don't think, into the offensive player they thought they had.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ken Rosenthal is down there licking his chops. What did they do if and when Profar comes back? We're talking about next year, and they've got Odor, who they like, who's only 20, Profar, and then this big contract that's hanging around the neck of the Rangers and Elvis Andrus. Kenny.
Joe, they're pretty adamant about not trading Adrian Beltre. Juan Washington said as much before the game. But they are open to trading Elvis because of what you just said, the depth that they have in the middle infield. The problem is, as Tom said, Elvis isn't really an offensive force. And while he is a plus defender, a plus base runner, if you're going to pay him $15 million a year for the next 8 years, you're going to want more offense. And that's why it might not be as easy to trade him as some think. On the other hand, you have the Yankees needing a shortstop after this season. You have the Dodgers potentially needing a shortstop as well. Could get interesting.
Count still 2-2 on Elvis Andrus.
They're going to have to eat some of that money, though. You can't hit 266 with 2 homers and think you're going to take on $15 million. Not today.
Here comes another 2-2 from Jared Weaver. Just outside a full count.
When Tulowitzki's making, what, 18? And he's hitting 25, 30 homers for you?
Yeah.
And playing like he plays?
So you're saying Elvis doesn't leave the building too often?
No.
Here's a 3-2. He may not leave this building. Here's Pujols to his left. The race to the bag for the out. Good play. One away, and people have always underestimated Albert Pujols defensively, who came up initially as a third baseman, and in his first big league spring training, after hitting ridiculously well, Tony La Russa put Albert Pujols at shortstop in games, hoping that Albert would show some sort of deficiency so he could not take him north with the club. Bobby Bonilla that year got hurt. He got a groin strain, and Pujols made the big league club and just obviously never looked back, and he's become one of the best hitters in the history of the game.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing from Albert is he's healthy. And, you know, you see a happy, smiling Albert. He could have won more Gold Gloves, but he's moving. And that's, you know, when you have a foot injury like he had and you have a knee injury like he had the year before, you're going to lose so much from your base as a hitter, as a guy that can range and do things defensively. That play right there tells you all you need to know about Albert's season, how he moved around. Then they tried to put him at shortstop?
Yeah, at the end of spring training, and he was fine. Game against Atlanta in Orlando, and he hit a home run over the scoreboard. That's into right. Easy for Calhoun. 2 up, 2 down as Weaver is settled into this game down by 1. Tonight's game on Fox, sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. That's the immortal 2-foot broomstick hot dog here at Globe Life Park.
That's so big, it actually comes with a carrying case. Seriously, it has handles on it. By the way, Harold, they also have a new item this year. They have bacon waffle on a stick. I know that would interest you.
I would do that. Bacon waffle on a stick.
This park opened in 1994. They hosted the All-Star game in 95, the 66th. And this has always been a good hitter's park, and evidently a good eater's park as well. First pitch, a ball to Adrian Beltre, who's 0 for 2. Originally a Dodger was Adrian Beltre, as he leans back from ball 2.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, that looks terrific.
That is I don't know about that. that looks like the maple
syrup.
That does look good, I gotta admit.
2-0 pitch. 3-0. We're sending somebody to get you one right now.
I think that's what they call the kaboom kebab.
Do you have any appearances on MLB Network between now and the All-Star game on Tuesday?
Just a couple. I'll lose it by Tuesday.
Okay. I want that out of your system. That's up and in, and the count on 3-0 brings it to ball 4, and that is walk number 3 on the night for Jared Weaver. 2-out walk. And the inning will continue for Martin as you look at pitching coach Mike Butcher in his 8th season, running the pitching for Mike Scioscia. And here is Martin, who's 0 for 2.
Well, I think here's the thing. Again, Beltre's the one guy that might be able to hurt you a little bit. And we've watched this now, a few games that we've done, where those guys have a nice little conversation. But Weaver really kind of just pitched around Beltre right there.
A few home runs right there, huh? Standing on the corner talking hitting.
Yeah. Over 800.
Adrian Beltre is a Hall of Famer for me. He is.
Oh, yeah. And he's not done yet anyway.
No.
You can build on that resume.
1 on, 2 out. Martin pops it up. Left side might stay in play. Long run. Ibar is there. So's Freeze. And he makes a fantastic catch to end the inning. Just stuck the glove out on the move over his shoulder and plucked it out of the air. The inning is over. 6th inning rolls in Arlington. Good play by Freeze. We're seeing good defense tonight. Harold, get ready. Here it comes. 2-1. Rangers lead it after 5. Texas.
Get some bacon.
To your right on the infield, in the outfield. That's what the Rangers do defensively. Pujols first up, then they'll go to their left, and Josh Hamilton will bat. Pujols, Hamilton, Ibar for the Angels, down by 1. Albert, a sac fly that he thought might go for a 3-run double. Last time up, with the bases loaded, takes a strike. Michaelis has pitched really well in his 3rd big league start.
Yeah, he's done a nice job of, we talked about before, pitching out of jams, but the biggest thing is he's hitting the spots.
Here's the 0-1. That's right through the right side, and that outdated shift for Albert Pujols is hit through by the Angels' first baseman.
Well, he's raised that average about 15 points. And one of the things I've seen with Albert, he's raised his hands. On the left is early in the year, and on the right, see how his hands are up higher. But he'll incorporate that leg kick when he wants to drive a ball. We saw that earlier in this game. Right there, that's more of a two-strike approach. I talked to him about BP. And then right here, watch him lift the leg a little bit up in the air. This is where he might get a pitch he knows he's going to drive. And we saw that earlier when he had the bases loaded on the first ball. He pulled foul. But, you know, we're in this time when people say, I don't want to give anything up when I have 2 strikes. This is one of the greatest hitters that we've seen the last 10 years. He has a 2-strike approach. I think it's worse for Albert Pujols. It can work for a lot of people. You can still do damage. He was talking about even with his toe tap and rock, it puts his hands in a position where the bat's going to fly through the zone. So he feels like I can still cover the bases, so to speak, even with 2 strikes.
First pitch of ball to Josh Hamilton. And now a line drive base hit into right. 2 on with nobody out. Hits by Pujols and Hamilton. And the Angels are making something happen here in the 6th. Here comes Mike Maddox. And I would imagine, and it does, bullpen action begins for Texas.
Well, he's been tightroping all game.
Yeah, leaving the pitch up like that, that'll get your attention. And again, to reinforce, he really was developed as a relief pitcher. Really hasn't been stretched out all that much. And oh, by the way, talk about bullpens. Ron Washington has 9 pitchers in his bullpen. A lot of options out there tonight.
Including the young man just got called up tonight.
Who goes by the name of Ryan Fearabin, a left-hander. Pitcher number 30 on the active 25-man roster for Ron Washington here in 2014.
You ever heard of that, Joe? That many?
No. Before the All-Star break?
Golly.
Here's Eric Ibar, 2 on, nobody out, and Eric with 49 RBIs. There's Fearabin, who, if he doesn't get into tonight's game, might make the Sunday start here tomorrow against the Angels. That's how up in the air things are here pitching-wise for Texas.
If I'm him, I got to be thinking, don't get in tonight. I want to start tomorrow.
Here's Ibar, 2 on, nobody out. Angels down by 1. High fly ball into right. Back a few is Rios. Tagging is Pujols. He will take third base. It's first and third, 1 out. A productive out by Ibar.
Well, that's that old school baseball that the Angels play. He's looking, give you one pitch to drive it. Drive it out of the ballpark. He just missed it. The good thing he did is he pulled the baseball. And then Albert has time to come back and be healthy. You got a healthy Albert now. He's going to move him up. And I do believe if he had not got him over with the first swing right there, we might have saw Eric Ibar handle the bat and drop a bunt or do some different things like that.
Well, Texas did have the corners up expecting a bunt, but I think because he's really established himself as a middle of the order guy, a run producer now, that was green light. Go ahead and get him over. And a great job, as you said, Harold, of hooking the baseball to make sure you get the runner over to third.
Now it's Kendrick, who's 2 for 2. He singled up the middle, single to right. Double play ball would keep the lead. A lot of things could tie this game off the bat of Kendrick. Strike 1. Howie at 42 RBIs has his average up to 288. There's Pujols at third, led off with a hit. Hamilton, a base hit. He stayed at first on the fly ball to right by Ibar. Here's a little flare into shallow right. That's going to tie the baseball game at 2. As Kendrick has gone 3 for 3 on a Saturday night. And a 2-2 game with 2 on, only 1 out here in the 6th.
Happy birthday, Howie Kendrick. 31 years old today. How about 3 hits for your birthday?
Not bad.
And right
not
here,
bad.
it's a jam shot. You see Michaelis get in on the hands of hitters throughout the night. This time just strong enough to bloop it in there.
And here's a great shot of him. See him pull the knob to the ball. I know a lot of people talk about keep your hands inside the baseball. What's that mean? If you pull that knob towards the baseball, it's going to keep your hands inside it. And that was a great picture of that swing right there.
Frazier up in the bullpen. It's a run home in a 2-2 game. 2 on, 1 out for David Freese. Strike 1.
I was going to say you might be 1 hit or 2 late before they go to the pin. Freese has had some really good swings.
Yeah, he got away with a pitch right there.
Yeah.
Got a lot of the plate. David Freese was on it, just missed it.
Sure, Ron Washington in a position where he wants to see what Michaelis will give him here in a jam after losing the lead. See if he can get out of it. Got to learn about your guys. Here's a foul out of play, strike 2.
Joe, that's such a great point. You're absolutely right. I love that point that you're making here because so often we don't know what guys can do, and you have to find out. And that's where the Rangers are. Let's see what we have. And this is one of those situations. Does it matter if they lose 90 games or not? No, we learned something going into next season. So that's an excellent point, Joe.
Well, we'll see if Freese can figure out Michaelis. He's got a young Todd Worrell look on the mound. Count of 0-2. Freese fouls another.
He must be sneaky, Tom, because we're watching a lot of guys he gets in on. Broken bats, foul ball back.
Does look like he can run that fastball in on their hands.
That way below the barrel.
Thrown only 75 pitches. Coming off a bad one against Houston when the Texas Rangers were swept by the Astros. Another 0-2. Ground ball, base hit left field. Digging around third is Hamilton. They'll bring him to the plate. The throw cut off, and the Angels have their first lead of the night. RBI base hit by David Freese. And that might be the end of the night for Miles Michaelis. We'll see, as Ron Washington has Frazier in the bullpen. But no sign of a change yet.
Well, I think a lot of this is your point, Joe, that you want to see what the young man's got. He doesn't have a whole lot of pitches. See Josh Hamilton running real well right there. That ground ball a little bit more to the left, and they may have a double play ball. But your point is, see what he's got. And they probably would have got him. You can tell he's starting to lose it a little bit. But see what he can do.
It's a number 8 man, Hank Conger, who is 0 for 2. Now 3-2 Angels. Frazier ready to go if they need him. 2 on, 1 out. Changed up, and Conger way out in front.
Missed that 12-6 breaking ball we talked about. It's featured it mostly against the left-handed hitters.
I always thought that was a great combination, the fastball and curveball. You're changing the eye level. It's obviously a different speed.
Michaelis looks back at the lead runner, who is Howie Kendrick, with Freese on base behind him. Here's the night for Miles, trying to get through the 6th. The 0-1. Hard hit, that is fair. Down the right field line, and it's going to go all the way into the corner. Scoring easily is Kendrick. Freese is going to be brought to the plate. Lead cutoff man is missed. Another run scores. Throw down to third. Out there. But the Angels have added to their lead. It's a 5-2 game with 2 out now in the top of the 6th.
Tell you what, they hit that first cutoff man. They got to play at the plate. Freese is dead.
It looked like a changeup. Doesn't throw many of them, but he left that one up. Just snuck it by Payne. And I totally agree with you, Harold. If this is a clean relay to Odor, a much better shot of getting Freese at the plate.
So now a 3-run game at 5-2. The bases are empty, 2 out. But a big 2-run double hit by Conger, who was out trying to get to third. And the play went 9-3-1-5 for the out at third base. Number 9 man, Cowgill, takes strike 1. Still just pitch number 80 coming from Michaelis. Two out here in the 6th inning. That misses. Ball and a strike.
Here's a look at the relay. See, the first guy was missed. It ends up being the second guy, Payne. Now Payne has either got to be further up or the second baseman's got to be further back. But you got to hit that cutoff man. If they do that, you got the run at the plate, cut down.
Here's a 1-1. Strike 2.
Yeah, too much space between the two fielders in the double cut. You don't want that ball to bounce, and I think that created an extra step or 2 for David Freese.
Yeah, and one of the reasons Carlos, after he dives for that ball, you're on the ground, you got to still get up and maybe scramble and see where that's going to be. It's a tough read for the first baseman because you end up being the guy that's going to have to be that cutoff if Rios throws it all the way home. You know, we see that a lot of times with outfielders.
That just missed inside. Angels have scored 23 runs in this series to this point in just over 2.5 games. Here in the 6th inning, a 4-run 6th inning on 5 hits for Mike Scioscia's team, looking for their 18th win over their last 22 games. That's down and away on a full count.
Yeah, he's done.
Frazier is ready, more than ready, but still hanging out in the bullpen. Here comes a 3-2 pitch. He walked him. And that is going to be it for the 25-year-old right-hander, Miles Mikolas. Frazier will come in. The Angels have taken their first lead of the night as we play here in the 6th. By Bayer Back and Body, the official pain reliever of MLB. And by Burger King, right now, try the new extra long barbecue cheeseburger. As we move into the top of the 6th inning, and there you go.
Oh, wow. Look
Just
at all that
swimming.
syrup there. That's nasty.
Cardiologists are standing by.
Yeah.
Look at all the fat on this thing. I don't know if I can eat it. I thought it looked a little bit better down there.
Well, good luck.
Gosh.
You'll try. You'll give it a good try, I know.
Check back in with you as the night goes. You're passing? You're bowing out already. Frazier is trying to finish off this top of the 6th inning, a 4-run top of the 6th inning. It was scored against Mikolas. No, that's it. That's all you got. A little picking at the bacon, and that's all.
Yeah, I'm not much on the fatty foods like that.
Cole Calhoun is at the plate. He's the 8th man to bat in the inning. There's the night for Mikolas. Here comes a 1-0.
What a swing.
Tell you what, I give credit to these fans here in Arlington, Texas. They had over 30,000 at the ballpark here last night, and it is another big crowd for the Rangers, who have lost 20 of their last 23. They want to see this team turn it around. They've got a lot of work to do, and they are, as we've said many times, really banged up. But good crowd on hand here tonight for the Angels and the Rangers in what is now a 5-2 game. LA on top. Calhoun hitless on the night. Runner goes, and this one is in and out of the glove of Chirinos. An easy stolen base for Cowgill. That's his second of the year.
Yeah, I'm not sure it mattered even if he caught this ball. Huge jump. Frazier with the big leg kick. Chirinos trying to find out where that ball went.
Yeah, I thought we might see him go first or third, but nice job by the middle infielder.
Oh, yeah, Deke.
Yeah, making sure he's sliding on this. Acts like the throw's coming down.
So Cowgill down into scoring position for Calhoun, who was driven in 25. And who came into this game. There's a heartier soul than you.
Yeah.
No syrup involved in that one.
So that's the one that comes with the carrying case. See the handles? I don't even know if you can get that in the overhead on a plane. I think that's got to go checked.
Calhoun backs out of there. Since the end of May, he leads baseball in runs scored, hitting .367, but hitless tonight. 2-1. 3-1 with the young star Mike Trout on deck. So it could turn into an even bigger inning. The walk to Cowgill, end of the night for Michaelis. There's ball 4 just outside to Calhoun. And the Angels will bat around here in the 6th inning. Frazier comes out of the bullpen, walks the first man he faces. Time for Pepsi's Real Big Things You Need to Know. First player in MLB history to steal 45 bases in 2012, score 125 runs, and hit 30 home runs in a single season. That was your welcome to the big leagues, Mike Trout. Real Big Things brought to you by Pepsi. Make it a real big summer with 3 new flavors of Pepsi made with real sugar.
Well, that put him on the map, no doubt. He has not stopped.
Voted in as a starter in the outfield for the 2nd straight year. In the All-Star game coming up, he will be joined by Adam Jones of the Orioles and Jose Bautista, who was the top vote getter in the league of the Toronto Blue Jays. So the whole outfield intact from a year ago as far as starting in the outfield for the American League. Same group, back-to-back years. The 1-0 pitch is on the inside corner, strike 1. And there's the full group with Perez taking over for Wieters behind the plate. Wieters' teammate Nelson Cruz, the DH, formerly with these Texas Rangers on that 1-year deal. Cabrera, Cano, Jeter, Donaldson. Trout rips it down the line. It is foul. And strike 2.
Wow. This is something Don Baylor, hitting coach, and I were talking about before. He said one of the things that Mike is getting away from is he ends up tying himself up a lot because he's always looking away. Finally, Baylor's getting him to start look inside a little bit more. Look for that fastball in. You can always go in to out instead of out to in. You know, a lot of the hitters in this generation, they look away. And I think a lot of that's because of the product of growing up with aluminum bats so much that everybody pitches you away. They're afraid to pitch you in because aluminum bat, you break it and it ends up being a dinker that falls in. You don't break it, I should say.
With 2 on, 1-2 pitch down and in.
Yeah, and I think he's done a much better job of that this year. When the ball's in, pulling the ball, has many extra base hits this year to the pull field as he had all of last year. You saw that on that foul ball. And the Rangers have tried to crowd him during this series, these 2 games. They've tried to pitch him hard in.
This is for this at bat. 1 down, the rest in. Frazier first out of the bullpen.
I was going to say, Joe, careful on anything down. Best low ball hitter in the big leagues right here. Frazier does have that split.
2-2 is hit to short. Andrus will flip for the out. The inning is over, but it's a 4-run inning on 5 hits. And we'll show you more food. Anything you see, Harold, that you like, just raise your hand. We'll get it for you. Bottom of the 6th inning rolls in Arlington. It's a 5-2 Angels lead. Cardinals were in first place was April 5th, as they've taken the first 2 games of that series, 1 to go, and will determine who's in first place at the break. As bad as it's been for St. Louis, the National League pennant winners, losing to the Red Sox in Game 6 last year in the World Series. They're tied here on the 12th of July at the top of the division in the NL Central.
Tell you what, there's some players you get excited for their success. And Colton Wong, for me, after being picked off in the World Series last year as a pinch runner, one of those tough moments on the biggest stage you can possibly be on. Answered every question. Kid was tearing up. It ate him alive. And he's loaded with talent. I thought he was going to bounce back and have a rookie of the year type of season, but he has really caught fire now to send down. He's come back up. It's a great story.
That's ball 1 low. Just came off the disabled list, and he's provided power. Had a walk-off home run for St. Louis during the week. A night after Matt Adams did the same. And all of a sudden the Cardinals, even without Yadier Molina, tied on top in the NL Central. That's outside 2-2.
And then what about the captain? You know, earlier in the week when he was in Cleveland, Derek got his 1,000th multi-hit game. And he had a multi-hit game today. But how about that? 1,000 multi-hit games.
So now 1,001.
How about that? Man, that's a lot of hits.
2-2 pitch is reached for. Fly to left off the bat of Smolinski, 1 away. Adam Wainwright gets his 12th win in that Cardinal victory, lopsided victory in Milwaukee. Alfredo Simon is the other National Leaguer with 12 wins. Masahiro Tanaka has 12 wins, and he will stay at 12 wins for at least 6 weeks. What do you think of that diagnosis that Tanaka came up with? Nobody evidently recommended surgery, but he's got a tear in the elbow, and they're hoping with rehab he can get back on the mound this year, but they're kind of in limbo with Tanaka, who was as good as advertised, maybe better here in 2014.
Yeah, I think he was better than advertised, and yeah, hoping and crossing their fingers. He'll be out at least 6 weeks, it looks like, and hopefully that small tear, as they call it, will be healed. But the history of those tears, Joe, not good. In other words, hoping that it kind of heals on his own. He will get PRP treatment for it. But, not out of the woods by any long shot in terms of avoiding surgery somewhere down the road.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He doesn't pitch for me the rest of the year. It's too big of an investment. $175 million.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Pena out in front. Carlos doubled his first time and scored in a 2-run second. Now it's 5-2 Angels and a 1-2 count on Pena.
I would have to err on the side of caution as it's the first 3 months of that deal, basically. And you know what he can do now.
You leave him alone and hope that heals?
No, I think, well, yeah, I guess you're going to wait, but I'm waiting.
There's strike 3, 2 out.
I'm not going to wait and let the 6 weeks determine that he has to get back to pitch in that frame. I'll give him the 6 weeks to see if we don't need surgery. But even if he doesn't need surgery, I'm not rushing him back and say, get back in shape now. We need you for the stretch run. Because no matter who the player is, you're going to put that competitive stress on it. And sometimes you have to tell the athlete to back off. You have to back him off.
Well, he's already apologized to the Yankees and their fans, so he's feeling it after what was a $155 million investment that the Yankees made. But, I'm with you. And if you look at the Yankees, I mean, they've added McCarthy and they've added Jeff Francis, but their rotation is empty. And there's no CC, who may be finished, finished. They're without Pineda, the right-hander, who's got the bad shoulder and been on the disabled list the majority of the year. Here's a fly ball into center. And Ivan Nova's out for the rest of the year. Everybody's looking for pitching, including the Yankees. Who's coming up? It will be Pujols, Hamilton, and Ibar for the Angels in the 7th. Up 3. We ask you to tune in tomorrow for the final game of this series and the final game before the break on our Fox Sports regional networks. Coverage starts at 11:30 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports West. It's the home of the Angels, and at 1:30 Central on Fox Sports Southwest, home of the Texas Rangers. Tyler Skaggs will get the ball for the Angels as Roman Mendez takes over for the Rangers, and we do not know officially who will get the ball for Texas. Maybe Scott Baker, maybe Ryan Fearabin, who was just called up from the minor league. 7th inning rolls in. Albert Pujols will greet Mendez after Frazier got 1 out, walked 1. Rangers come into this game with only 3 bench position players and a bullpen that needs some folding chairs, extra seats out there for Texas. On Washington's got plenty of options. Baker, West, Frazier, Tolleson, Mendez, Feliz, Soria, Kotz, Fearabin. Strike 1 to start this 7th inning. They have room for more.
Question is who'll be standing come trade deadline.
Outside to Pujols, the ball and a strike. And a smile from Albert Pujols to Jim Reynolds, the home plate umpire. How about this series for the Angels? They're happy to have the aforementioned Don Baylor back, who came back on June 25th. Their main hitting coach. Pujols strike 2. Dave Hansen, the assistant hitting coach, did a great job, and they got Baylor back after surgery on a broken bone in his leg.
Yeah, that was ugly too, man.
Catching the first pitch.
Yeah, from
Vlad Guerrero.
Vlad Guerrero. Saw Don today. He's doing good with the rehab and he's back, and they've missed him, no doubt. Look at the defense now. Albert got that base hit over there.
There you go. They updated the shift. They got the memo.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Just chopping at it. Mendez a chance to make the easy play. 1 out. I mean, it's hard. It's got to be hard to shift on a hitter like Albert Pujols. He's one of the few guys that seems to be able to see a hole and find it with a full swing.
Yeah, and they're hoping that a big guy like that will bait into it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to try to hit a ball at the ballpark anyway. But I think when you look at Albert, he's going to play situational baseball. Now Josh coming back to Texas, he might be trying to yank one into the seat.
And so they're swung around to the right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a different kind of hitter, obviously. He's not going to change his game. I don't see him going the other way.
Hamilton tonight, 1 for 3, strike 1.
I'll give you some numbers about how much the shift has changed in defending Hamilton. When he won the MVP in 2010, he had 62 ground ball singles to right field. This year, and I know he's missed some time on the DL, he's got 6. Difference? Well, we've seen the last 2 or 3 years, especially the last 2, the number of shifts against pull hitters. And I think for the hitters like a Chris Davis of the Orioles, Brian McCann with the Yankees, Josh Hamilton, the Angels here, it's hard to hit for a high average when those singles are taken away from you.
1-1 the count on Josh.
Well, if he's going to go the other way, that's the pitch to do it. And that's the ball they want him to roll over. This is a changeup on the outside half. And that's the ball he's got to shoot to left field. It's got the perfect tail to take it that way and everything, and he's not thinking about it. Don't make a mistake, though.
Thumb injury to start his year. Came back red hot. It's tapered off a bit since then. I don't know how he ever got out of Cincinnati. I mean, I understand with the issues that he had with substance abuse and everything that was going on in his life after being the first overall pick by Tampa Bay in '99. He sat out 3 full years, but he comes back, and in '07 with Cincinnati hit 19 home runs, drove in 47 runs, showed a lot. But then to Texas, and now an Angel. That's outside a full count.
Yeah, I'm with you, and he showed enough in Cincinnati when you do that in that little bit of time and you say, hold it, this guy hasn't played in how long? No, I'm not trading him.
Well, he was a great player for the Rangers. And now he takes a 1-out walk here in the 7th inning tonight. Mendez gets an out with Pujols, walks Hamilton, and will pitch to Eric Ibar.
You know, so many things came together for Josh here in Texas, though, with family here, counselor here. Everything just kind of fit for him, lifestyle, everything. And that really helped get him on the track that may not have been afforded to him in Cincinnati as it was here in Dallas. A real conscious effort of the Rangers to say, here's what we're going to do.
Still has deep roots in this community. Before the game last night, talked to a group of about 50 kids, part of the ministry work that he does. He says he'll continue to do that here.
And he has a ranch about 2 hours away, and after the game tomorrow, boom, in the car to go to the ranch with the family for the All-Star break.
He did that same meet and greet tonight. So still giving back to fans that he got a chance to meet in his time here with Texas. 2008 through 2012. Hard hit, right side base hit. Hamilton will stop at second, 2 on 1 out as Ibar has his first hit of the night.
Tell you what, Eric Ibar shows you a professional at bat every time. What I mean by that, he hits according to the situation. Last time up, first and second, no out. Hit a ball, fly ball at right field to move the runner up. Right there, he's trying to shoot this ball through the 4-hole. All he's thinking is that hole right there I want to shoot for. That ball's on the outside. He's trying to hook it through the hole, and he does it. And if he's able to pull a little bit more, we might be looking at first and third. But those are the things that he's been able to do. Talking to Eric earlier, started switch hitting when he was 7 years old. His dad got him switch hitting. Natural right.
It'll bring in Howie Kendrick. He is celebrating his birthday today. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball, presents the walk-off. Great walk-offs are waiting at foxsports.com/Budweiser. Grab some buds, and on his 31st birthday, celebrates today. So far, 3 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. Chance for more.
May as well cap it with a homer, right?
He's got 2 on. His team's got a 3-run lead. Ball 1 outside.
Talking to Howie before the game, he goes, I remember when I was 21. Time flies.
10 years ago.
Great math.
Thank you. 2 on, 1 out. Mendez deals, and strike 1. Last player to have 4 hits on his birthdays in the park, Benji Molina, is a member of the Angels, and now the first base coach for Ron Washington, for spending last year in St. Louis with his little brother Yadier as the assistant hitting coach. Here's a 1-1. Here is a fly ball right side, out of play, strike 2.
Watch Mendez on the mound. He reminds me of Neftali Feliz. A lot.
Yeah.
Similar motion. I don't know if he's throwing 97 to 100. But
well, neither is Feliz these days.
Yeah.
He's 91, 92. There he is right there. Still making his way back from Tommy John surgery. Not quite all the way back. Yeah, he's got a live arm, as you've seen. Mid-90s fastball, wipeout slider, and featured that changeup to the left-handers.
But the motion is almost, I mean, even the way he sets up.
Here is a 1-2. Runners are going. Pitch fouled back. And Hamilton will retreat to second with Ibar back to first.
Well, he doesn't mix up his cadence very much. And what I mean by that is once he gets set, he takes almost like he takes a breath, and then he lifts his leg and delivers. And that was what Josh Hamilton saw right here. Set, and then he's off and going to the plate. That's why they got such a great jump. That was a sign from the bench. When you got both runners going like that with that kind of jump, you know, unless Josh's on a green light and Eric's following him hard, but they had a pretty good plan right there.
Here's Kendrick with a strikeout for round number 2. Could not hold up on that slider. And it's 2 on with 2 out.
Good thing we got all the birthday graphics in.
So And now with 2 on, 2 out, the batter will be David Freese.
It's amazing how much the slow-mo camera shows you. It didn't look like he went that far. Then you see it in replay slow-mo. You go, yeah, he went a long ways.
Well, here's Freese, who has an RBI base hit through the left side and a run scored in what was a 4-run 6th inning for the Angels. Trying to take the first 3 games of this 4-game set. Strike 1. If you are the manager for the American League, who gets the ball to start on Tuesday night?
I'm giving the ball to the King Felix.
Yeah. I was thinking that. What are the options? Felix?
He's got to be the leading candidate. The National League's got 2 that I can think of that Mike Matheny has to look at. One of them is his own and Adam Wainwright. The other one is Clayton Kershaw, who's come off this incredible stretch and has been almost unhittable.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I give it to
you favor
Kershaw.
your own guy?
I give it to Kershaw. I just think he's had such an impact. A no-hitter, the streak. It's been his first half. And I think if you asked Adam Wainwright, he would say it's Clayton's turn to start.
Really? So
Yeah.
if I go to my own guy, Mike Matheny goes to Adam Wainwright, says, I love you, but I'm not giving you the ball to start the All-Star game. That's tough, too.
It's tough, but I think knowing Adam, and I know he's got 12 wins and he's had a great first half. You don't get to the All-Star game if you haven't. Clayton's been he's been the best pitcher in baseball. That's how I look at it.
But it could happen again to Kershaw like it did last year when Kershaw was passed over for the hometown guy in Matt Harvey at Citi Field, who was getting to start in front of his hometown fans. That did not sit well with Kershaw last year. 2 on, 2 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes on David Freese. Mendez brings it. 2-2.
Well, I think they're the 2 best pitchers in baseball. Felix Hernandez and Clayton Kershaw. I wouldn't mind seeing that matchup. What was it, at 86? We had Clemens against Dwight Gooden.
No.
Doesn't happen all the time. As you said, Harold, you're a great pitcher if you're at the All-Star game. But I think the nominal number 1 and number 2 best pitchers in baseball going head-to-head, sign me up for that.
Yeah. No doubt. It'll be an incredible. Regardless, it's going to be great, but it'll be great to see those 2.
2 on, 2 out, 2-2 the count. Freese in a battle with Roman Mendez. 3rd pitcher of the night for Texas.
So, Joe, who would you start? Your Matheny. What do you think is going to happen?
I agree with everything you're saying. I just think Matheny's going to have a tough time not giving the ball to his own guy with leading the league in victories.
Yeah.
But I think the 2 best pitchers are the 2 guys you're talking about. And the best pitcher is Clayton Kershaw. And since the 1st of June, he throws the no-hitter against Colorado, but 8-0 and an ERA of less than 3/4 of a run. 80 strikeouts, 6 walks in 8 starts. I would say that constitutes rolling into the All-Star break.
It's been one of the most dominating stretches I think I've seen. You know, in my time getting a chance to watch a lot of baseball. It's been incredible.
Here comes another 2-2 pitch. Down the right field line. Will it stay in play for Rios? No.
You know, I know Oral Hershiser had a great streak, but it wasn't. They got no chance of hitting the ball. They've had no chance to hit the baseball with Kershaw. As we look at Drysdale, I didn't see his streak in '68, but Oral magically moved the ball in and out on. You're not going to strike out a whole lot of guys. Great stuff, don't get me wrong. But what I've watched Kershaw do, it's like he gets 1 strike, the at-bat's over.
41 straight scoreless. Here it's a 5-2 game and a 2-2 pitch again to David Freese. Again a foul ball.
And this is what David Freese wasn't able to do early in the season, be able to sustain in that bat and fight off tough pitches to where he might have a chance to get a base hit.
A lot over the heart of the plate. One inside. It's been a 24-pitch inning. This will be number 25 for Mendez. 2 on with 2 out. And a pop-up. Mendez wins that battle. Going back is Rios. And the inning is over. Time to stretch here in Arlington, Texas. Rangers will come to the plate down by 3. Through the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser, here's to baseball. And by the Lincoln Summer Invitation. Visit your Lincoln showroom today. Jared Weaver goes back to the hill. And we remind you, Major League Baseball's coverage of the All-Star Game festivities continues tomorrow with the 2014 Sirius XM All-Star Futures Game on MLB Network. And on Monday with the 2014 Gillette Home Run Derby on ESPN. And ESPN, by the way, is reporting LeBron James is coming back to the Cavaliers. And Tuesday with the MLB All-Star Red Carpet Show presented by Chevrolet on MLB Network. Bottom of the 7th inning rolls in, and a guy who has started an All-Star game, Jared Weaver, a 3-time All-Star, started back in 2011 in Arizona, is back to work. John McDonald takes over at third base for David Freese. His night is over as they add to their defense, and Weaver has got a 3-run lead as he shoots for his 10th win of the year.
Yeah, I think the Angels have to be really happy with what they've seen from Weaver. That what he went through in that last start, we talked about back spasms knocking him out after 2 innings. He just got through. It was a one-time deal. Had a fine bullpen the other day and looks really good tonight.
Odor first up. One of many Rugneds you can find if you call the Odor household.
Yes. I mean, Tom turned me on to this about 4 weeks ago when they were playing in Detroit.
Here's a base hit into center. And that's the way the bottom of the 7th inning begins. Odor is on with his 2nd hit of the night.
So Tom turned me on to the fact that he's not the only Rugnet in the family. So take us through it, Tom.
I don't know if I can. This is confusing. I heard about that he had an uncle, Rube Ness, who's a hitting coach in the minor leagues with Cleveland, and then found out he has a brother with the same name. And then a father with the same, and it kept going on and on.
And before you know it, he's got two brothers with the same name. It's like George Foreman.
George Foreman. I guess they like the name.
George. Rugned. Now, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and sometimes my grandmother would be like, call everybody's name before it got to yours. Don, Ron, Larry, Harold. Oh, yeah, you.
I'm the same way. I'm one of 8. My mom used to do that.
Morin getting loose in the bullpen. And now on the other side, it's West. Matt gets it cranked up for Texas. Here is a fly ball off the end of the bat into right. Coming to get it is Calhoun. And Shin-Soo Choo is 0 for 3 with an RBI ground out and out number 1 here in the 7th.
Getting back to Weaver, talking about his velocity, obviously he doesn't throw what he did a few years ago. You see Mike Scioscia coming out for him. But we've seen 88 and 89. That's a tick or two up from what we saw early in the season. What he told me was he's back to his old workout regimen. He really couldn't do a lot of strength training in season because he's had biceps tendonitis the last couple of years. And he's actually, you wouldn't know this by looking at him, he's so thin. He's actually added 15 pounds in the course of this season. And there's where the manager, Harold, is giving the veteran pitcher a chance to stay in the game.
How about the look on the face of Weaver when he just saw Mike Scioscia after that fly ball come out of the dugout?
Yeah. And this is, they had a couple long innings. The back tightens up. You're now into the 7th. How you feeling? And really, you look at that. Choo just missed that pitch.
Yeah, it was a hanging breaking ball. I think that's what got Mike out of the dugout, but no question, Weaver wants to stay in this ball game.
He's got Elvis Andrus in his way with a runner at first, 1 out. The Rangers are 1 base runner away here in the inning from bringing the tying run to the plate.
As we talked about decline in velocity, but today he has topped out at 89.
1 on, 1 out. Weaver brings it. Andrus takes a high strike. Elvis 0 for 2.
I just laugh in this radar gun time that we're in, because if he doesn't throw 95, you're no good. If you move around, you hit your spots, you see what Weaver's doing, you're very effective.
Well, he can do it because he sets up on the third base side and has that crossfire delivery.
Here's one into right, slicing. Calhoun along the line for out number 2. It was a fair ball when he caught it. 2 fly ball outs to right, and the batter will be Rios. And Andrus tonight hitless.
Well, it was the heart of the order that they were going through, and he had to go ahead and try to get to this. I think if Beltre was coming up and you had a situation where he could tie the game, then you're not going to see Weaver in it. That's why that bullpen's up.
So what you're saying is this is his last hitter no matter what.
This is it. Unless he gets through it, maybe they bring him back next. But this is last hitter this inning, I think, if it extends.
Pitch number 101 of the night coming to Alex Rios. Ball 1 outside. Alex tonight with a double. 1 for 3. Weaver has given up 3 doubles tonight. 4 hits total. On a hot night here in Arlington, Texas, Weaver's turned in a good start, coming off the back spasms, the sore back that cost him the rest of his start his last time out against Toronto when he went just 2. Here's a 1-0. 2-0.
It's been classic Weaver, but getting the fly balls, only 6 outs on the ground. And he can pitch at 87 to 89, right above the top of the zone. What he told me was, I can throw the high pitch, but it has to be slightly above the strike zone. Top of the strike zone, that's when he gets hit.
Here's a fly ball into shallow left, should end the inning and get Weaver through 7. There to make the easy play is Cowgill, and Jared Weaver, who is 6 defensive outs away from his 10th win of the year, gets through the 7th. 5-2 Angels on top as we go to the 8th. League appearance up from the minor leagues, made his debut on Thursday. Struck out a batter, and he will take over here in the 8th inning with Conger, Cowgill, and Calhoun. 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Angels, who lead it by 3. 5-2 game. Game 3 of a 4-game set. Angels with heavy pressure on the A's on top in the AL West.
Yeah, they've done a nice job hanging around. You know, we've talked basically A's all first half. And if you look at the standings, the Angels have hung.
There's a strike. Mid-90s fastball from Mount West.
When they go on what they went on, they being the A's, Tom, and you're still only 2.5 back, you got to feel pretty good if you're the Angels.
Oh, absolutely. This is the best offense in baseball. We've seen it tonight. The depth.
There's one down the left field line. That ball's going to get into the corner off the bat of Conger. And the Angels catcher's got a stand-up double to start the 8th. His second double of the night.
Yeah, the first double he hit down the line that Carlos Pena dove for down the first base line. This one he takes it the other way, shoots it down the corner and left. Nice piece of covering the whole diamond tonight.
Bottom 4 hitters have been on base 10 times in this game for the Angels. That's what I meant about the depth. Obviously, Trout, Pujols, Hamilton, that gets your attention, but man, they don't need to turn it over to hurt you.
Batter now is Cowgill. When we talked with Ron Washington, the manager of the Rangers, who got to the World Series in 2010, 2011, and asked him to size up the American League West and what he liked about the top 3 teams. Here's a bunt that may have come back and hit Cowgill in the face. And it did. Oh, wow. Wow.
Gee. Just one of those heat seekers just comes after. I don't know if he fouled that off or not.
Applying pressure on that wound. Is that looked like skin on the nose just opened up.
Yeah,
well, you could hear the home plate umpire say first base, so they're saying the ball did not hit the bat.
Now he's saying it went off the bat. That's a tough one to argue if you're the opposing manager.
Well, it sounded like he said first base, but then I heard that too.
Yeah.
So, that's just hard to watch. And just pouring out. So Cowgill, they've called it strike 1. So that hit off the bat according to the home plate umpire. And then hit Cowgill in the nose. So Mike Scioscia's got to come up with a hitter.
Yeah, I think whether it's a runner on first base or if he's going to have to bunt with the strike, that's going to determine maybe who Mike puts in the game right now.
Well, Scioscia's saying it didn't hit the bat, that Conger should be at third, but it doesn't appear that's going to stand.
Well, how can Conger be at? He can't go anywhere. The ball's either off the bat and it's foul, or hit the batter and it's dead.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. Conger's standing over at third base now, going to get instruction from his third base coach, Gary DiSarcina. Go back to second base. We will get Efren Navarro. Take another look, and first of all, it was hard to watch the replay. Secondly, it's just impossible to determine, looking at it, whether that caught the bat or not.
Yeah. I mean, he did everything right, too. He didn't turn it all the way around. He pivoted. He was in a good position to get out of the way of the ball, and the ball just chased him.
So Navarro takes over the at-bat with an 0-1 count. And now he gingerly turns around to bunt.
Yeah, I mean, they want to get this guy to third base. He usually plays so a grand slam doesn't beat you. You know, it's going to tie you. You want to get that 4th run. And So if he was going to have Cowgill bunt, he's going to go ahead and try to find him a guy that can bunt. That's why it took a little bit of a decision as to who he's going to bring in.
Here's the next bunt in the air. It will drop untouched behind the plate. Strike 2. Little breeze through the ballpark right now on a 97-degree night. That's where we started. Conger with his second straight double on base for the 3rd time tonight. Wind blowing in from right. And Efren Navarro will wait for a 1-2 pitch from Matt West. In and out of the glove of Chirinos, and the at-bat continues.
Tell you what, if Cowgill's out for a period of time, that's a big loss. You know, he's been a vital weapon for them. Playing left, some right, being able to match up against left-handed pitchers, particularly when you're looking the division they're in, the left-handers that you're going to have to face. That's sad.
Yeah, for a while there, it looked like they had a really good platoon going with Calhoun, but now Calhoun has really shown Mike Scioscia he can hit left-handers, more of an everyday player.
That's up and away from the hard-throwing West.
Tell you what, we always talk about the hitter being shaken up because obviously we can see the blood dripping and the injury, but it affects the pitcher too when that happens.
He's 2-2 on Efren Navarro. Conger at second with nobody out here in the top of the 8th. Up and away, a full count now. Game started with Michaelis on the mound. He went 5 2/3, and Frazier, Mendez, West. Both bullpens are quiet at the moment, the way Jared Weaver reacted after getting out of that one-on, one-out situation in the bottom of the 7th inning. Looks like he may go back out there. That's ball 4 to Navarro. And we'll put runners on at first and second with nobody out.
You just can't get the ball down. We've seen plenty of velocity, but throughout this sequence, the ball just getting up on him.
Well, I think this is a good timeout. He's clearly shaken. I know they might be talking about how they're going to defend this first and second, no outs. Will they bunt? Will they bring the infielders in? But he needed a breather too. Going to throw a strike. They're giving you an out. Throw a strike.
This pitcher Matt West is from the Houston area. Drafted in 07 out of high school as an outfielder. Didn't hit enough, so they converted him into a pitcher in 2011. Underwent Tommy John surgery in 2012. And here he is in the big leagues 2 years later. As Calhoun fouls the first pitch back. Strike 1.
Didn't they do a similar thing with Martinez? He was an infielder, and then they made him a pitcher. We saw him pitch in Detroit. Am I saying it right?
Nick Martinez, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I guess they're in it. Find an arm and convert it. If you can't hit.
There he is from Houston, Texas, 25 years old, and in a jam here in the 8th. Here comes the 0-1. Ball and a strike. Rangers have gotten to the point where they've had 2 different position players have to pitch an inning on the mound to mop up. Their pitching has just been ravaged by injuries. As this drops in for a strike 2. Good pitch from Matt West.
Managers used to hate that too. That was a sign of surrender when you put a position player on the mound. They just were embarrassed by it, but it's become a lot more common. I think it's 16 times this year teams have had to run a position player out there on the mound.
Yeah, I hate it. Bobby Cox refused to do it. He felt like it was degrading the game of baseball to put an infielder or a position player on the mound.
That is just inside. Pretty good pitch, and the count 2-2.
Calhoun sits in a great position in front of Mike Trout. See all the fastballs he gets? And then you got Albert and Josh. You think they're worried about this guy? They're going to make him swing it. You know, he's going to get fastballs.
2-2 pitch is fouled off the glove of Chirinos. Calhoun had a broken hamate bone in his hand, and it changed the way he approached at bats, his hitting style from his hands up high to a little bit lower. And he has done nothing but hit since the end of May. Has not picked up a hit here tonight. Fly to center, struck out, grounded out, and walked. Here's the 2-2. Might be two.
Ooh,
tough hop. Andrews started it, and they got them both. 6-4-3, nicely turned with Odor in the middle. 2 out.
Well, it was a great call, Joe. You saw that. That was a tough hop by Elvis. Backed up, got it to Odor, and this shows you the arm strength of this young man. Because Calhoun can get down the line. Ooh, little snow cone. You see that?
Almost popped out, but it's a second double play turn tonight by the Rangers defensively.
You know, there's been so much traffic out there around second base. The Angels have had so many runners out there. And you can see all the divots from the spikes, and that baseball caught one of them.
So now Trout, second base,
It's been busy.
half of it's disappearing. There's a strike. Trout 1 for 4 tonight and hitting .309. He started the night 8th in the league, hitting .310, 4th with 22 home runs, and 5th with 69 RBIs. One ball, one strike. This guy doesn't make you feel real comfortable.
No, look at that ball run back in on the right-hander. And I don't know if he's going to have the confidence to come back in himself after hitting a guy and then you go in like that.
West trying to get around a leadoff double, followed by a walk. And now 2 strikes on Trout.
See how far outside that ball was? The target was in, and he missed that target by a foot.
One and 2 the count on Trout as Morin is back up in the bullpen for the Angels. Runner at third, that's Conger, led off with a double, and now a check swing didn't go, and even Trout, who was charged up, looked down to first base for an appeal.
He stole that from Miguel Cabrera. Miggy loves to do this too. I didn't swing. I swear. That's the first base umpire. Gets the call.
That's Clint Fagan, who will work the plate here tomorrow in the finale day game before the All-Star break.
I don't know. That's some quick thinking. Check, point.
Everything about Trout has been quick. His rise to the big leagues, establishing himself as one of the best in the game. As he strikes out looking on a pitch over the outside corner, didn't like the call. 1 for 5 night for Trout. And West gets around a double and a walk in the 8th. Morin is coming in. Weaver's night is finished. He's looking for his 10th win. It's up to the Angels bullpen now as LA leads it by 3. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, and by Chevrolet. Find new roads. New pitcher for the Angels as they lead it by 3, bottom of the 8th inning. Efrain Navarro stays in the game in left after taking over in the at-bat for Cowgill. And here is Mike Morin, who is in his 32nd game.
Well, I think this is the biggest change in the Angels roster. You know, you talked about the offense a lot tonight, Tom. Their bullpen was a mess, and they've done a nice job fixing that.
No question. I think Mike Scioscia said it best. He's happy with the team that he has.
But they still have to look to try to improve, whether it's somebody else to anchor that bullpen as the closer or another starting pitcher, because you look at the makeup of the Angels and the investment they have in this team. They're good enough with the right addition to win the whole thing.
I'd probably say another starting pitcher. Ideally, I think a second lefty in the bullpen.
Beltre comes up empty 0-2.
They seem to be happy with Joe Smith as the closer. Not your prototypical wipeout closer stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Joe on this, though. I know Joe Smith's that guy, but you know, when you get to October, that power plays, and they don't have that guy down there. You say, forget it. Really, if he was a year or so before the injury, yeah, but he's not that guy right now.
There's one of the guys they've added to remake this bullpen in season, the left-hander Joe Thatcher, who they got from Arizona. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Beltre, jammed a bit, flies it into left. Easy play for out number 1, hauled in by Navarro. Beltre is 0 for 3 on the night with a walk. Ken Rosenthal is downstairs. Kenny, what does your gut tell you with regard to what the Angels might add, if anything, before the deadline?
Joe, they are still looking for bullpen help, and they could add a closer, someone like Joakim Soria of the Rangers, Houston Street of the Padres. At that point, they could then put Joe Smith back into a setup role, and their bullpen would be that much stronger with the additions already of Thatcher and Grilli. The other thing, and this is much more of a long shot, would be a top-of-the-rotation starter. Now, Artie Moreno loves big splashes. I am quite certain he'd love to get David Price. The problem for the Angels is they'd have to break up their major league team to do that. Their farm system isn't strong enough to have the prospects for a guy like Price.
2-0 the count from Morin on Leonis Martin.
Ken brings up an interesting point, you know, to break up the major league club, because they do have some guys that are coming on and some pieces you like, but I don't know.
2-0 the count with 1 out, nobody on. That's a strike over the outside corner. Well, Price is obviously the big one out there. If he is indeed moved as we started play today, Tampa Bay's 10.5 out in the AL East, albeit a watered down AL East, but they just don't have enough. You would have to believe here in 2014 to make that kind of a climb with the offense that they have.
Well, they've got 3 windows. They've got this trade deadline, they've got the winter, and they've got next year's trade deadline. I mean, they do have the rights to David Price for a full season next year.
And Boston, too. They have to be in sell mode.
Reaching out for it and getting it off the end of the bat, late break, but there with plenty of time is Cole Calhoun. 2 out, nobody on. Let's go to Kevin for a quick game break. All right, so good game in Cincinnati, and McCutchen has made it a 5-5 game.
I just saw that same swing with this Ken Griffey Jr. show. He does the big stick, and McCutchen was his guy, and he said, what are you looking for here off Broxton? Boom, same thing last year. He took him deep on a ball away. It's almost like watching a rerun.
Here's a pitch down and in to Smolinski.
That was McCutchen's 12th home run since June 1st. He's having a better year than he did last year.
When he won the MVP, and part of that great young outfield that the Pirates have, not just now, but seemingly for a long time to come. Polanco and Marte.
Oh, man, they're fun to watch. Look out for the Bucks. The Central of the National League is going to be a fun race to watch. You know, Yadi Molina's injury That
Huge.
changes that division big time. Look at that. They're bunched up already. The Pirates have come back in the fold. They're in this thing.
Here's a 2-0. Smolinski went around. 2 balls and a strike.
Have you seen the Pirates? You seen Polanco?
I've seen Polanco, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
special.
He's impressive.
Well, they've been a different team since they called him up. The lineup's much deeper. McCutchen saw nothing the first 2 months of the season. And a few more pitches to hit.
Well, it's forced Marte to come to the party, so to speak.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. In the air to right. Going to his left is Calhoun. Plenty of room. And 3 fly ball outs to end the 8th. Ninth inning rolls in here in Arlington. Angels will bat still up 3. Proud to collaborate with Stand Up to Cancer, a groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate innovative cancer research that gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. For more information, please visit foxsportssupports.com. Here is Joakim Soria taking over, 32nd game of the year. Obviously no save situation with his team down by 3, but maybe an opportunity to show the Angels something. Soria with his 16 saves. Deals with Albert Pujols.
Showcase, huh? Calling a showcase.
Maybe so. He's also not had a lot of work recently as he misses outside, 1-2.
Yeah, tough to be a closer when you're, what, 3-20? Last 23?
That's where they are. Wow. And trailing here tonight by 3. And on the other side, you've got the Angels on their way to, unless a comeback occurs, as Pujols flies one into right for Rios, back to his right, 1 out. Angels are 3 defensive outs away from their 18th win over their last 22 games. And one last chance on a Saturday night for the fans to boo Josh Hamilton.
You know, I have a hard time with that still. I mean, I get it. He left. He went to the Angels, and he said, hey, this is more of a football town. But
Not
for
a
what
baseball town.
For what
Yep.
he did here for this franchise, to lift them from the. Nobody was talking about the Rangers.
Down and in ball one. It just was so unnecessary to say that on his way out of the door, saying that, well, this isn't really a baseball town. You look around here. I mean, this was another big crowd here tonight for a team that's lost 20 out of 23. At 37,000 people in this park tonight. There are a lot of places that would qualify as not a baseball town, and this isn't one of them.
No, you're right. I mean, he did bring some flame on himself with that.
It's just really not well thought out.
Yeah, I mean, the irony is he helped make this a great baseball town. I'm sure he saw the growth in his time here. You think, Joe, about how the narrative might have been different. That home run he hit in the World Series, it looked like that was the Cinderella story to put the Rangers ahead.
Yeah, that's the part of that World Series Game 6 that people don't remember. Soria makes the play, 2 out. The Cardinals tied it in the 9th inning, 2 outs, 2 strikes on the 2-run triple by David Freese. But then in the next half inning, Josh Hamilton hit a home run right here. Shot into right. Back at the track. At the wall. Hamilton has gone deep. And it's 9-7 Texas here in the 10th. However, the Cardinals chipped away, got 2 runs to tie it, and then won it in the 11th.
It's still hard to believe they won that game.
It's impossible to watch it, having even been the guy sitting there. Here's a line drive caught by Andrews to Rob Ibar, and a 1-2-3 9th inning for Soria. But now Hamilton plays for the Angels, the Red Hot Angels, who, as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, lead by 3. Player of the day brought to you by Burger King, and it's the starter and the Angels. Certainly he and Joe Smith hope will be the winner here tonight. The line for Jared Weaver, in line for his 10th win of the season. 7 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, hit a batter, and he pitched really well on a hot night in Arlington.
Oh, he really did, and the key for me watching him pitch is we got a great shot of the moon right there. Wow. Was Jared over the moon tonight? Was that the lead to that?
That's brilliant.
Something like that.
Tell you what, his movement was incredible, and the ball did not look that big to the Ranger hitters.
Well, here's Joe Smith. Who knew coming into the year that a guy who picked up his first 3 big league saves last year with Cleveland would evolve into the closer and pitch behind guys like now Grilly, Frieri before him, before they traded Frieri for Grilly, Jepson, But it's Smith. They have a deep, versatile bullpen. I still think they've got the ability to add a closer, and it would make them that much better.
I mean, he's saying, I'm the guy. This month, how about this, Joe? He's faced 21 batters. They're 0 for 20 with a walk against Joe Smith. So he's saying to Mike Scioscia, I'm your guy. Wow. You're not going to see it anything or very few pitches over 90 miles an hour. Sinker, slider, deception. He lives on the edges.
Wow. You're telling me and Joe, hey, hold on, fellas. I was saying, get another closer. Joe was kind of there with me, and Tom kind of shut us up, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
You guys aren't sold. I can tell.
I'm not sold. Big swing by Pena in the count 2-2, and that's taken nothing away from Smith. But if you have the opportunity to trade a young guy to get a closer, or maybe it takes two to get a proven big league closer, you know, Smith doesn't evaporate. He just helps set him up. This Angels team is really impressive, and I think good enough to win the whole thing. That's strike 3 over the outside corner. Pena is frustrated, and he's 1 for 4 on the night. Put the ball there, though, against left-handed hitters and get that call. You'll never get hit.
Right.
Here's Chirinos. The producer of tonight's game, Pete Macheska. The director is Bill Webb. Smiling now down in the truck. The associate director is Aaron Stoikov, and the broadcast associate Jordan Harrison. Technical director is the great Jonathan Evans, the protege they call him at Fox. Director, technical director. Our tech manager is Don Esposito. Thanks to Steve Horn, our editorial consultant in the booth, and statisticians Wayne Fiddleman and Ralph Disher.
There you go.
1 out, nobody on. Chirinos 0 for 2, hit by a pitch, scored a run, takes a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Better start swinging.
Just a 3-run game, but it feels like it's bigger than that, and has since that 4-run outburst in the top of the 6th.
Well, you're right.
Nice play.
It was just a matter of time too before it broke open. It looked like in this game. That was a nice play, by the way.
Yeah, I'm waiting, Harold. What do you got? Another shot of the moon.
No, I was leaving it alone. I left that for you.
1-2.
The tank's empty.
On Chirinos, and a line drive into right. That will hang for Calhoun. 2 out. And the Rangers are 1 out away from their 21st loss over their last 24 games. How about that guy? Adrian Beltre will be an all-star on Tuesday night, borderline Hall of Famer. Harold says yes. Signed through next year, and there's an option out there for the following year. And Ron Washington said before the game, people keep putting him on the trade block. He's not on the trade block.
Yeah, no, that's the franchise cornerstone right there in Adrian Beltre. Plays every day. And a big part of that too, guys, is that when you have a Latin guy that can speak to the Spanish portion of your clubhouse and also speak fluent English, that is leadership that is hard to find. And with our game defined like that with so many different languages, it's so important to have that guy that can communicate that way.
Well, you said it. He is tough. He is tough. He plays every night, leading the league in hitting, although tonight 0 for 3 with a walk.
Yeah, it looks like the end of that 15-game hitting streak.
Here comes an 0-2 pitch. That's the end of the night, and the Angels have taken the first 3 games of this 4-game series, and a final tonight of 5-2. Angels stay hot. The Rangers stay frustrated, and it's LA now 56-37 in a 3-hour, 17-minute game. Now 2 out with Oakland playing as we speak. The winner, Weaver. The same for Smith. 5-2 is the final. Send it back to the studio for postgame right after this.